across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, my friends, welcome along. Just gone 6 o'clock. It is, what is it, Thursday, the 27th of August. And slightly, I have to say, that the team here on breakfast are slightly D-mob happy. In only that, okay, we've only got one day off. We're back here on Bank Holiday Monday. Peter Blexley will join us in a tick. He's off to Darlington. It's nice. Christian, the executive producer, is off to Wales. I've drawn the short straw. I'm going to a wedding in Spain. I can't. I've got to wear a suit. It's 30 degrees. Anyway, welcome along. Where are you? What are you doing? Mark's going nowhere. No, friends. And Neha, well, she's just the queen of all as she pervades. Tommy will probably be going to Hampton Court for afternoon tea. We're on. We're here and we're live across the UK. So much to talk about as ever. Don't forget, by the way, 0344 499 1000 told you before the news. It's the only number you need if you want to be part of this Alarm Clock Britain at 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Loads in the papers today. We can't get away from this horrendous story. Britain's amongst hundreds lost in the Nepal floods. We'll talk about that. It's horrendous. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage overnight. Extraordinary and appalling. We'll talk about that. Front page of The Sun today on the back of this A66 crash horror and those two cops losing their lives. An innocent young 7-year-old, a victim of a joyrider gang war. We'll talk about that with Peter. That seems to be taking shape. Royal return. I know. Yeah, I get it. You're going, why is he talking about it? Because the world is. Harry and Meghan, with their 2 children, landed in Birmingham last night, which is very brave. The problem is it took quite a long time because the private jet could only go at 20 miles an hour and they couldn't find their luggage for all the rubbish that was strewn everywhere. But they and their children are now ensconced in the United Kingdom. And guess what? Yes, there's another argument this morning about whether they should get Royal Armed Police protection with you and me and every other alarm clock Brit footing the bill. We'd love your output on that, or even input. 0344 499 1000. Also, hey, guess what? More migrant outrage. Nobody forgets, of course, our fantastic Invading Britain, the Undercover Migrant. That was launched on Monday. Isabel Oakeshott and Christian Drogan. Some amazing work. Tuesday, actually. It's available on our Talk YouTube channel. It's doing great numbers, but stories just keep coming from it. Last night, peeps, a human rights chief sparked a bit of a backlash by telling us, he's one of those ECHR idiots, to hand over more hard-earned taxpayers' cash to migrants and asylum seekers because it's not really fair. At the exact moment that Top Minister Pat McFadden of Labour finally admitted that our benefit system is flawed. Right, so it's flawed because we're giving too much money to people who shouldn't be here. See, we're off again. Also, do you remember Angela Rayner? She's back. The Housing Secretary. We found. Have you got a clip of this? Have you got it ready? This woman, newly back into government, having lied about stamp duty, yesterday says it's false. It's absolute rubbish that foreign nationals are taking up social housing. Have a watch.
The idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
I know it's very early, but she just said the problem is there are not enough houses. There are not enough houses, you woman, because people are coming in from abroad who shouldn't be here and having them. But it's an absolute known fact. If you add millions to your population, forget away the security issues from it, we're just talking numbers, then the desire and the need for social housing is going to absolutely explode. It's extraordinary to me. I mean, look at this. We found a story of an Edinburgh council, right, bumping asylum seekers straight to the top of the council housing list over hard-working residents. How's Angela Rayner going to answer that? I bet she won't. I bet she hasn't got a clue. And a bit of fun, because it's a pretty miserable Thursday. The rain's coming. It's a bank holiday weekend. Got to go to a bloody wedding. Phony fears. I love this. Well done, Christian. A major red alert for millions of households across the country as traditional, good old-fashioned landlines are set to be axed for good. You remember the old days? Pick up your phone, hello, right? Gone, apparently, absolutely gone. I'm old-fashioned. I still like to write a cheque. I still like to write a letter. And I don't think we should get rid of the phone. So I thought it was a bit of fun this morning. What prize have we got here? Oh, yeah, pretty usual. Banana. Not particular. Why are you laughing, Bletchley?
No, I'd quite fancy a banana, but if it's got to be given away, it's got to be given away.
Do you want my banana?
No,
you never thought anybody had...
Let a very worthy member of your audience have it.
Right, we're going to get voice notes now saying give the banana to Pete. Serious thing, tell me, we'll start this with you, Pete, what's the old-fashioned, old-school thing that you still do? I mean, manners, sending thank you cards, opening the door for a woman, all that sort of stuff. What do you still do that people recoil in horror with, Pete? It's 872222. Pete, what about you?
I instill discipline into my children, even though they are, of course, all now adults and the bulk of the work is done. Occasionally, just very occasionally, a little reminder has to be whispered in their ear.
Is that old-fashioned, is it?
Discipline? Of course it is. It's become a dirty word in so many places.
Well, you're not allowed to discipline your kids?
No, exactly. In fact, my wife gets a bit flaky about the word discipline. She calls it boundaries, because boundaries is a bit more acceptable, I think. But
I just say to mine, if you don't behave, you're going in care. I don't
discipline.
care at all.
It's discipline. Actions have consequences. Kids need to be taught that. I heard a woman in the supermarket not so long ago, daft bint of a woman, turned around and said, no, I don't use the word no to my children because it has too many negative connotations.
Right. Well, I was in a lift here at Talk. I've told this story many times. I got into a lift with a woman I'd never met in my life. I got on the 17th floor, and when we got to the ground floor, as I was taught to do, I said, after you. And she went, why? Because I'm a woman. And I thought, that's it. Everything that I know, everything that I have ever believed in goes up in smoke at that point. So I like to write letters. I like to write cheques. Do you use a paper diary?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So that's we're old-fashioned. I do as well.
Yeah.
Do you form an orderly queue?
Of course I do. Manners maketh man. My dear old mum drummed that into me. She's still with us. She's 98 next week, lover, and she just instilled it into me, and I've instilled it into my children. We must hold the line. Please allow a woman to go first the next time. Don't be put off by somebody who snaps at you. No, absolutely.
Chivalry.
We hold the line.
Yeah.
We apply our standards. If it offends somebody else, so be it. Off you trot and be offended. Hold the line. Keep the standards. It's very important.
I love this. Offering tea to tradespeople. Thank you so much indeed for coming in and doing a trade. Would you like a cup of tea?
And you know what? When the fellas come round and if they're doing the verges, you know, you have a guy who sits on that machine and mows the grass verge, I run out, I flag them down, hot day, cold can of Coke, other fizzy drinks are available, or from that, or a tea and coffee.
What's that?
The grass verge is outside the front of your house. You've probably got gates and that out the front of yours. You don't know what I'm talking about.
I haven't got a clue.
But there's grass verges out the front of our houses down the road.
I don't have anybody. My man does that. They're my verges. What are you talking about?
Of course, yeah, well, us common people, we share a street with other people.
Polishing your shoes. Honestly, in my old man, every night we had to do that. He used to say, very good to polish your shoes when you dance with the woman. We won't get to that route. But polishing your shoes.
My dear old granddad, who passed away just before my 13th birthday, but left a lasting impression on me for all of my life. He said to me, you can always judge a man by his shoes.
It's absolutely true. Sitting up straight at the dinner table, manners, all that sort of stuff. Love to hear from you. Just a little bit light-hearted in a sea in a world of misery. 87222. What old-fashioned values do you still adhere to, ladies and gentlemen? 6:10. Pete, let's get to it. This awful story overnight, Nepal, 30 Brits among hundreds missing in Nepal flash flooding. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage. It's absolutely shocking. It's on every newspaper, front newspaper. Britain's lost in Nepal flood, say the Times. Terrible. It's difficult to know what to say, isn't it?
I've never been to Nepal, but I can understand why people do, because I've had the enormous pleasure of meeting a number of people that come from that country, and they are Gurkhas.
Yeah.
One of the most wonderful military regiments on the entire planet Earth. Different level soldiers. Absolutely wonderful. I wonder if the Gurkha regiment will be going to Nepal to offer some assistance. I don't know whether that's likely to happen, but my impression of Nepalese people, and there's quite a Nepalese community in Aldershot.
There is.
Of course, they're based there.
Dean and Alan, good morning, Jez and the team from Cambodia. Jez, it's heartbreaking. I watched the Hall disaster this morning, the loss of so many lives and the amount of tourists doing what they've saved so hard for, knowing they'll never be found. Heartbreaking isn't enough. Thoughts with everyone affected by this absolute nightmare scenario. It's just Dean. Thank you, mate. Yeah. We'll talk more about that. Also, Front of the Sun, I know you wanted to touch upon this. We had this terrible story last week about the A66 horror crash. 2 coppers, innocent coppers, killed head-on. 5 young lads as well. There's been sort of outrage about tributes. There's been GoFund pages, but this seems to have spread, Pete. And in basic terms from you, this seems to be... Is this a gangland war that's out of control?
Well, I can't touch on this story without sending my very best wishes to everybody who knew and loved Matt Blades and Tom Clough.
Completely.
May their courageous souls rest in peace. But it would appear that all of these events stem from a feud. And this feud is very much ongoing because a house was firebombed just the other day, 2 people dead, a number of people fighting for their lives in hospital, including, of course, Valentina, 7 years old, who was killed in this dreadful firebomb attack on this house. And these are all linked. These matters are linked. We know for a fact that the father of one of the 5 young males who died in that Passat, his house was attacked the very night of that fatal crash. The car was driven into it. It appears to be very much an ongoing feud. I can only imagine the amount of work the Cleveland police have got on their hands. They've drafted in officers from Northumbria and other neighbouring forces. It's clearly, I think, a very, very deep-running feud. Lives lost. Let's hope the police can put pay to it and also hold people to account.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. More of that coming up. 6:15. I want to bring your attention to Angela Rayner. Angela Rayner was at one point apparently going to lead the Labour Party, Pete. Then she had to resign in disgrace over not paying stamp duty, but a year later she's back as the Housing Secretary. Yesterday, literally hand on heart, saying, and I quote, you saw the clip, it's false and fake news to say that foreign nationals are taking up social housing. This is an absolute blatant lie, isn't it?
The levels of self-delusion that exist among so many politicians is absolutely staggering. How can you stand up there and say something that is blatantly untrue? We know the stats are out there. There are people coming to this country being promoted to the the front of housing lists in front of other people, getting houses, living in them, whilst other people are on waiting lists that could run for years and years and years and years. So to stand up there and say something so obviously untrue is remarkable. These people are surrounded. They have people, don't they?
Yep.
These senior politicians, especially ministers for the such like, they have teams of people around them. Doesn't anybody ever want to tap someone on the shoulder and say, actually, don't say that because it's not true?
This is interesting because earlier in the week, Reform announced, I don't know if you know this, that they wanted to prioritise British-born working families, veterans and married couples. That caused a bit of a stir because people were saying, what if you've come here for years and paid tax? They're making a thing about British-born. The left will jump up and down. But for Angela Rayner to say that is absolutely and utterly untrue and disingenuous. James, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy and Mr. Blacksley. It's James here from Hull. Alarm clock Brit on the road from 4:30 this morning. Anyway, I'd like that banana, please. Thank you very much. And by the way, may I just say, another delusional Labour statement from the Rayner. Does she not know that one goes hand in hand with the other? If you have thousands of illegals coming in week on week, and you only have the same amount of housing, there's obviously going to be a deficit, and we're going to need more houses. Easy way to solve it, send them back. Anyway, great show, guys. Keep it up.
That's the point, send them back. And actually, if you look at Rayner in that clip that we've already played and will play throughout the morning, that is playing... That is cozying up to a part of the Labour Party that ticks a box for her, because there is a part of the left that will always believe that all these people that come here are fleeing persecution and they've got a terrible, terrible life. Yesterday, so, you know the ECHR, right,
yep.
which is something we should have been out of years ago, and all that rubbish that was spewed for years about, well, if we leave, how are we going to look on the international stage? We'll be worse than Russia and Belarus. Do one, we can't afford it. Yesterday, people associated with the ECHR, human rights chiefs, caused another backlash by telling us, Pete, we should give more cash, taxpayers' cash, to migrants because it's so hard for them. Again, I ask you, does anybody in any governmental position get a spatter on an advisor to tap on the shoulder and go, you know, working-class Brits, you know, alarm clock Britain, this will send them over the edge? Whilst you're trying to appear genuinely, I don't know, caring and sharing, you're screwing your own people in their own minds. That's the truth.
Those on the left of politics love jumbling up the letters EHRC, ECHR, and I'm just going to point out a clear divide here, because the drivel that came out yesterday was from the, and this is ours, this is not the European, this is our body, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, OK?
Good
so
man.
This is a British organisation.
Oh, it wasn't
body,
the other, eh?
Quango, call it what you will. And they are the ones that are saying...
And they're based here and they're saying... Oh, it gets even better, doesn't it?
Give more illegal immigrants even more money. Because, of course, the poor souls have broken into this country. They've come here illegally. They're already being housed, clothed, fed and given £50 a week. Very nice, thank you very much.
Not much, though, is it? So, what are they going to do all day? Play pool, have a swim? What's going on?
Give them a bit more. There is a clear divide now between right and left on this whole matter, whether it be illegal immigration, immigration per se, asylum, migrants, boats, backs of lorries, all that kind of stuff. The organised crime which surrounds it all and which is being fuelled in this country by the arrival of so many people. What about the wonderful documentary that you mentioned this morning? That I, of course, watched, presented by Isabel Oakeshott the other day. And, of course, Christian, the very courageous guy who went undercover, was saying that most of these people that are coming over are actually not paying their fee.
And why is that?
To get on those boats, because the minute they land, they are hoovered into organised crime, where they pay off their debt.
Completely agree.
So they are absolutely...
So this isn't the ECHR. I'm glad you pointed that's my mistake. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, which is an English-based bunch of weirdos, they say we should give more money to migrants. What do you make of that? 87222. Start your message with the word talk. You can call Tommy 0344 499 1000. Harry and Meghan, I have to cover it, are back in the United Kingdom. They landed in Birmingham last night on a private jet with Archie and Lilibet, ready for the kids to start school. Do you believe they should get royal protection, yes or no?
Well, I'll find out, because I'm having dinner with them this evening.
Whereabouts?
I wish. No, do I wish? No, I don't think I do, actually.
Can you do me a favour, Christian? I haven't told you this off air. Christian, look at me. Can you find Ian Collins' rant yesterday? Because I just happened to see it, and it's brilliant. He just went, I don't care. And I am not sitting here and pretending that I bloody do. It's brilliant. See if you can find Ian's clip from yesterday. It was great.
They need protecting. OK, that's...
Really?
Of course they do.
Well, pay for it yourself, because you're not doing anything. No, you can't blame that. You can't have a go at the benefit system and say lazy, feckless people don't deserve to be paid. If we're saying to those two grifters, we're going to spend money on making sure you're safe. I've heard all the stuff about he's third in line and the kids are fourth and fifth. The truth is, you slagged off the very thing you now expect to pay to protect you. That's the issue, surely.
Yes, but I criticise the Metropolitan Police frequently when they get things wrong, and they still pay me a pension. So criticising something and benefiting from it is not mutually exclusive to Harry. You can say I'm guilty as charged. However, let's face it, they need protecting. They definitely
pay for it
need
yourself.
Protecting. Well, that's a completely different debate.
Pay for it yourself.
But they must
not going to
be
slag
protected.
my country off and call everybody racist and a pain in the backside, and when you're out of money, come back here and expect me to pay for it. Outrageous.
And the problem is, with private security in this country.
They can't use
Whilst
guns.
much of it will be very effective, there'll be highly trained people. They are not allowed to carry firearms. And the fixated, the obsessed, the dangerous, the stalker types. And let's face it, what about some kind of Islamic nutcase? Would he not like to assassinate Prince Harry after what he said in his book about the number of Taliban people he killed? I know Harry's brought this upon himself.
But he was in America and Canada paying for his own security as a non-working royal. Why can't he do the same here? Why is it different here? Why can you run back to Blighty, a country you've decimated with what you've said about it, and expect us to foot the bill? It's really interesting. Pete and I agree to disagree. 0344 499 1000. Belinda, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Great show. Yeah, I know you might have to go to Spain, but at least it's better than being here with the bad weather that's coming in. And how ironic and ominous is the sign that as soon as Meghan and Harry arrive, there's thunder and lightning. What a sign. Great show.
Honestly, I mean, even I don't like them, but I actually don't think we can blame them for the weather. Can I read something to you, Pete? Because this is great. Christine Richards said, I don't want to hear about Harry and Meghan. I want to pay a proper tribute to Dolly Parton, a true humanitarian, gave her wealth to help others, especially giving books to make so many millions of kids be able to read in America. I don't know if you caught this yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen this in my 60 years. Did you see the royal family's tribute to her?
No, I didn't know.
The Coldstream Guards outside Buckingham Palace yesterday played a rendition of 9 to 5. Have a watch, Pete. It's brilliant. Have a watch.
Nigel Farage, I want to give credit here. I don't agree with a lot of Reform's policies, particularly on the economy, which don't add up. They would add heavily to the debt, which I think is a big danger for the country. But on this, I want to pay him a huge amount of credit. Let me tell you, I went to Calais and spoke to a lot of people, African men mainly, living in a warehouse. And I said, if you knew you were going to be instantly deported, would you come? He said, we're not going to spend 5,000 to a people smuggler to know that we're going to end up back in Africa. Of course they're not. That is that smashes the business model of the game.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Morning, Alarm Clock Britain, 6:27. This is JK at Talk, the home of common sense, and of course the home of your views. And on the news, as it happens, we've talked about the horrors in Nepal. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk about this ongoing gang warfare in Middlesbrough, resulting, as the Front of the Sun announced today, after that terrible crash last week. Valentina, 7, innocent victim of joyrider gang war. More on that. The stories keep coming, to be honest. Harry and Meghan are back. How about this from Pete? Bet this won't be read out, Jez. I would rather see Diana's boy back with his family than any of those bloody illegal migrants.
There you go.
Interesting.
There
Listen, people do support Harry and Meghan. It says, why did Barry and Smeghan get a private jet? Who paid for it?
All very valid questions, but rifts in families, and so many families
We've
have
had
rifts.
this with you before, but you've got to... I know about forgiveness, but you've got to understand people right now working are going, hold on a minute, as much as they're going with illegal migrants, why are you getting stuff when I'm seemingly at the back of the queue? The essence of... Actually, we were talking about old-fashioned values, right? I think you would remember, I sat here more than anybody when they decided to go to California and said, OK, good on you. You want out the goldfish bowl, I get it. But you can't only exist on slagging something off and then when the money runs up go, oh, I'll tell you what, suddenly I've discovered that Britain is great and it's not racist and the people are fantastic and I know there I'll get some publicity. And you know the worst thing about it is because of what they've said and done, genuinely I believe a majority of people in this country would go, what is the motivation for coming back? To increase your social media presence, to stay in the public life, not doing what the royal family, the armed forces, all sorts of people have done, which is get your head down and go to work.
I think we all know the motives for coming back.
Then I wouldn't give them protection.
And it's cash, isn't it?
Well, then if you'd run out of cash...
I think it's pound notes, but...
Who's looking after them? All right, but who's looking after the Montecito if they've run out of cash? What about their security there? Why is it different here?
I'm hazarding a guess, but Harry has made some catastrophic mistakes as a young man. He really, really has. And in my eyes, he is still a young man. What's he, in his early 40s, perhaps? He's a young man.
Late 30s, maybe.
He's made mistakes. I believe, as you know, in forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I think he's got an awful lot of work to do if he's going to win back the trust of his father and his brother. But if any of my 3 boys had a fallout amongst themselves, or if any of my 3 boys had a fallout with me, it would break my heart.
And what if they went nationally and slagged off their mother, your wife, and destroyed everything that you'd ever put into them and put you through pain and suffering to the point that the 2 of you were devastated and distraught for years and years? When they... This is my... And it's a really bad thing and you might disagree with it. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, but you talked the other day about contrition, right? I don't see that from them, because here's the thing I learnt a long time ago. When you continue in some sort of vein of bad behaviour, let's say, and you cause misery amongst people who have to pick up the slack and deal with it, when you're done and you want to come back to Britain or you want to be back in that family, what, we're just all supposed to forget what you've created and spread all over us? That's where contrition comes in. I think people can definitely be forgiven, but the people that want forgiveness need to understand they've caused misery and suffering for years, and that's why they need to apologise. And I don't see that. That's my issue with it.
No, the situation you quoted at me, that hypothetical situation about if one of my boys caused me and my wife considerable hurt and pain, I completely get that. But myself, like His Majesty the King, I'm a lot closer to death than I am birth. Yeah. And I would want to see my family reunited, repairing bridges and being united, particularly around the dinner table, on those big occasions, the birthdays, the Christmases, the Easters, all those kind of things, when we make sure that we are together as a family and we create hysterical, happy memories that we live off, basically.
I get that. I do. Listen, 6:31, 0344 419 1000. So we're talking about Harry and Meghan. We're also talking about migrant outrage. If you're just tuning in, I think this is brilliant. Well, it's not brilliant. It just about sums up the Labour Party. Angela Rayner, fresh back in the cabinet, having been sacked for not paying stamp duty, gave this statement yesterday when she said, I don't think the reason for lack of housing, social housing, is because there are migrants. What's this? Madness.
The idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
There's two things about that. One is she's not acknowledging the fact that if you allow an influx of people into this country, whether they're foreign nationals, whether they're criminals, whether they're unvetted young males, because she'd deny anything like that's happening, you're going to put a drain on what's available. She also attacked Reform, who this week said they wanted to prioritise British working families, veterans and married couples. I mean, that, from Rayner, is a blatant bloody lie.
Yeah, and she used the word false. She said it is false to say that there are foreign people coming into this country and accessing social housing. She said that is false. Well, she's actually telling an untruth.
I know.
Because you can go to just about every city and town in the land and find people of foreign origin living in social housing. So she's just not telling the truth. These are politicians. Is it any wonder that people hold politicians in such low esteem?
I don't care about life on the radio. Darling, I'm just on the radio. I'm live. You okay?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's my daughter. Don't worry, we're on air. I'll see you later. I love you. Say bye-bye. There you go. There she is. Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. Great. On her way
Does
to
your
work.
daughter know that you do a breakfast show?
I've obviously got no idea. She's going to work. She lives in Edinburgh. You'd think, wouldn't you, that you'd know your dad was on the... But, I mean, you've got to answer the phone for your kids. I mean, she could have had a problem there, couldn't she?
But then you would have declared that on air live to your audience, and perhaps it might have been a matter that shouldn't have been for audience
Well, don't bloody well
consumption.
ring me then when I'm broadcasting.
She should know you do a breakfast show.
What does she think I do? I'll tell you how stupid I am, right? You've just made me remember something. I remember when I was doing the Jeremy Kyle show, and we were talking about security issues or, you know, fraud.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, listen, they talked about bank card numbers. I said, I'll just do my date of birth. And the editor went, you absolute idiot. People are now going to look up your date of birth and can steal your card and take whatever money you haven't given to your ex-wife.
Anyway, let's take the huge positive from it, because your daughter is ringing you just after 6:30 in the morning. She is...
Part of
drum
Alarm
roll.
Clock Britain. Get in there, Al. Go on, Al. Yeah, she works. She'll be doing 7 till whatever time today. She works all the time. She's a grafter.
Marvellous, wonderful.
It's an old-fashioned value.
You've raised her well, sir.
Well, listen, yeah, she's put in the garden if she doesn't know. No, she's in Edinburgh. She's having a great time. Let's talk fashion, old-fashioned values. We love this today, Christian. I love it. A major red alert for millions of households, especially the age of me and Blexley and people like us. The old-fashioned landline is being just cut. It's no longer going to be about.
Yeah, a bit of a problem with that, I think, because, and I'm sure your audience will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some elderly who have alarm systems,
Absolutely.
you know, they have a tag around their neck.
Yep.
So that if they have a fall, they can press it or pull it or activate it and get some help. I think some of those are linked to landlines.
It's a really good point. We asked you old-fashioned values. This is brilliant, right? What do you still do that will be perceived as old-fashioned? Ben, good morning.
Jeremy, Ben from the Black Country, Morning Peter from another ex-Bobby. The one thing that I still do that people recoil in horror at is if a woman says she's a woman and she's got a penis and they're a man. Have a great show.
Brilliant. 25 to 7. He's leading so far. Morning to Chris in Greenham. Do you know what Greenham was famous for?
The Common.
There you go. All the old anti-nuclear. Wasn't it all of those couscous-eating vegetarian?
Great friend of mine went undercover at Greenham Common.
I bet that was fun. Was he called Swampy?
She.
Oh, all right. You've become woke, you have. JK and PB, that sounds good. Old habits I still keep. Ladies first, all seated at the table before we eat and saying please and thank you.
Love please and thank you.
Isn't it? What happened to please and thank you? Honestly, Jez, Jay in Essex, morning Jez and Pete, an old-fashioned value is my 17-year-old son has removes his hat and bows if a hearse passes by.
Yes.
Very interesting, that is.
Police officers, we had to stand to attention if a hearse walked past and salute.
Good. JK and Peter, this is Mags. I still write letters and love to send thank you cards and will be lost without my landline.
Can I tell you a story about how...
I feel like you're going to anyway.
About how good manners can so often benefit you.
Yeah.
Sunday night, I was going to work. I was in central London. It was just after 8 p.m. and I'm looking for a coffee. My favourite brand of coffee shop was closed, but another one was open.
So you were for coffee, yeah?
So I went in there, and of course I said, "Good evening, sir. Please may I have a white Americano?" And the guy dutifully went off and started preparing that for me. Came back, I picked myself up a little bar, and he turned around and he said, "You are a gentleman, sir," because he'd appreciated my please and thank yous. I thanked him when he returned it to me and this, that and the other. He reached under the counter and said, "Help yourself to one of these," and they were 2 pots of fruit. Now, that day was the expiry date, so I don't know where they'd have gone, whether they'd gone into the bin or this, that and the other.
It's given him gone off fruit.
So then I took a tub of delicious fruit, which he gave to me for free, you see.
But it was gone off and you spent the last 3 days on the bog.
That day was valid and it was delicious and I got a fork and thoroughly enjoyed it, you see. Old-fashioned manners, appreciated by the guy in a coffee shop, and as a result I benefited with a delicious tub of fruit.
Sally, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy, and lovely Peter. Yes, if someone holds open a door for me, I always thank them. I think it's lovely. And another one is the man walking on the outside of a woman on the pavement to stop her getting soaked if a carriage drives by and splashes them.
Correct. All my kids have been taught, raised, instructed that when they are walking with a woman, be that their mother or their girlfriend, they walk on the outside of the pavement.
Then that's new to me.
No, get away. You've never been taught that?
I don't walk on past.
No. We comment amongst ourselves if we see a man on the wrong side of the pavement walking with
Isn't
his
there
partner.
something about a man walking up the aisle that he has to have his arm free for his sword to protect his bride? Isn't that right?
I don't know about that.
Oh, you see? See? What, you've never walked up the aisle? I've done it
Just
too many times. All right, yes, let's have a dig. Morning, JK. Old habits. Always put a clean hanky in your pocket.
Yeah, but how
great
does he
show.
wash it?
Enhanced with Peter. Ask him to come to Lincolnshire with his show, please. Kevin and East Kirby.
OK, now, you see, the question for me is, great having a handkerchief, but how do you wash them? Do you boil them in the saucepan, like my mum used to do when we had
I'm going to
handkerchiefs,
tell you a really
or do they go in a washing machine?
I'm going to tell you a really sad story. Before the old man died, and he was obviously living on his own because the old girl had croaked it, and he was chasing all these people around the care home. I'm not joking. He used to boil his underpants.
Did he?
I mean, I think he probably needed to at the end, but he did. Honestly, the old... They did. Big saucepan with washing... Honestly, prod it with... Honestly, dreadful. Jez and Peter, I let indicating buses out when no one else does.
Quite right.
I'll tell you who I don't let out. Bloody cyclists who ignore red lights. I can't bear them, by the way.
Yes.
They do my head in. Don't get me on that. Oh, John in the Algarve. Oh, good. Well done. I'll be there soon.
Right,
he says, strong handshake and clean shoes. My father instilled in me.
Quite right.
Strong handshake.
Yeah, some people can go over the top with the whole handshake thing. I really like a handshake.
Do you?
Yeah. Sometimes you get people that want to kind of, I think, demonstrate that they've been in the gym by trying to crush your hands.
I don't think you
There's
need
no
to have
for
a
that.
strong... I don't think you need to be in the gym to have a strong right hand. Tim, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. Morning, Pete. Tim from Birmingham in my truck. Old-fashioned values. I always say, pardon me, after passing wind. Got to give people a warning. Have a good day, people.
I just love the fact that these people... Christine says, my old-fashioned value is respect for the elderly, even if they have dementia.
Yeah, of
Very
course.
true, absolutely. Jez, when you opened that door for that woman and she replied, is it because I'm a woman? You should have said, yeah, it's because I'm a gentleman. That's a true point. Jez, never swear in front of my parents. Not possible for me, mine are dead.
Yes, I don't swear in front of my mum. Well,
Are you scared of your mum?
I may occasionally have done that. I'm afraid of upsetting her. I don't want to upset my mum.
No, nobody wants to upset their mum. Do you swear in front of your kids?
Yes.
Yeah,
because I take them to football with me, you see.
Oh, so you get quite stroppy then.
So
yeah?
there's the occasional F-bomb gets dropped in football and all that sort of stuff.
It's quite interesting having young kids because you suddenly you'll hear him go "geez" or something, and you go, "Oh blimey, I shouldn't." Oh blimey, you can't say blimey. You can't say anything anymore, can you?
So my eldest boy, okay, first time I took him to football,
indoctrinating him that somehow QPR were worth supporting.
Of course, and it was a very, very lively game. Very passionate, loud game. And I took him home to his mother, and his mother was all about what do you learn from things when he was that age, you see.
This is going to be great, I love this.
She turns around to him and she said, did you enjoy football today? And he said, yes, Mum, yes, I really enjoyed it. And she said, and what did you learn? And he turned around and said, the referees are... And you can guess the next word. And his mother's face was an absolute
And you were
picture.
allowed to take him after that, were you?
Yeah, because of course it's what we do. Because it was chanted all afternoon at the ground.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. Listen, 18 minutes to 7. We're going to catch up with Kinsey Schofield in a minute, talk about Harry and Meghan, but whatever you want to talk about, their royal return, the migrant outrage. This is a story that's not going to go anywhere today, not going to go away today. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, this is an English-based organisation, yesterday said, I think it's outrageous, they said, we should give more money to migrants. That's being slightly deaf, I would say. We've got Angela Rayner saying, the reason we haven't got enough houses is not because migrants are coming here, it's because we just don't build enough. That's another blatant lie. And we're talking about the fact they could axe landlines. Well, I mean, I don't agree with it, but what other old-fashioned thing do you still do that one of these days is going to be told to you is wrong? Polishing your shoes, opening the door for a woman. Adrian, good morning.
I was in a building with a lady behind me, and I stopped at the door, opened it and said, after you. And she's, like you, said, why? And I said, well, I was dragged up proper, unlike you. Went through and slammed it behind me. Good luck to them. Bye-bye.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Welcome to Thursday, the 27th of August. JK on Breakfast to Talk, the home of common sense, and, of course, the home of you, the alarm clock Brits. If you're waking up, horror stories from Nepal, the pictures of this dreadful flood, Britain's included in those who have lost their lives. We'll talk more about that. Harry and Meghan back in the United Kingdom, touching down last night at Birmingham Airport in a private jet. Who paid for it? Peter Blexley, who's with me, says he believes in forgiveness. Maybe they can be reintegrated. Should we pay for their protection? I listened just by chance to Ian Collins, who I love, one of the best broadcasters you will ever meet in your life. He's as old as me. No, he's not. He'll be really upset by that. He's as grey as me. He's greyer. This is him yesterday when told by his producers, brilliant. Talk about Harry and Meghan. Watch this.
Does anybody actually care? Does anybody... Am I the only... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. I do not care at all. Not a gnat's backside do I care. Not at all. I don't care about Meghan and... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. If they walked in this room, I'd say, get out. I don't care about Meghan and Harry. Can I put that any more emphatically? I do not care. I love Angela Levin, but I don't care about Meghan and Harry, all right? It doesn't keep me awake at night. I don't wake up in the morning going, I wonder what Megs is up to. Never, ever does it cross my mind. I don't give a hoot about Meghan and Harry. Also this afternoon, Meghan and Harry have arrived in the... No, we're not going to do that, OK? I promise you. Have we made that clear?
Absolutely brilliant. I love him, the big IC. Morning, Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield. I mean, Ian Collins doesn't give a damn.
No, it's nice to see Ian Collins, like, wake up a little bit. You know what I mean? If that's what puts some fire underneath his seat, then let's do it. Are
you saying that's the first time you've seen him that angry?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Kinsey, before we get into the return of H&M, which isn't a clothes shop, it's Harry and Meghan, we've been talking old-fashioned values this morning because in Britain they're about to cancel the old-fashioned landline. That will be gone. What that will do for the older generation, I don't know. But Pete and I have been reminiscing about things that we were taught and things we still do, like polishing our shoes, opening the door for a lady, walking in the street on the outside so she doesn't get, water from a car coming away. Just behave, sending thank you cards, writing cheques. Do you like men who are old-fashioned, or is it not on your radar at all, old-fashioned values?
I love men that are old-fashioned. But you know what I get in trouble for here in California? I'm from the South. I'm a Southern girl, and I still say yes, sir, and no, sir, because I feel like it's a sign of appreciation and respect. And here in the South, you get sir or like ma'am. I'm not old enough to be a ma'am. And I'm like, I was trying to be kind.
So you're like proper yes, sir, no, ma'am. You're proper South, aren't you? You've affected the Hollywood voice, right?
I'm very proper. I'm very proper South. Get me around my mom or my grandmother, and yes.
Good. Well, so I just very quickly will tell a story. So I was in the lift here in this building some months ago, and I go from 17 to 1. You've been at the news. And I'm with a woman I've never met. We don't have a conversation. We're just waiting to go down. The door opens on the ground floor. It opens up, and I say, after you. And she turns to me and, why? Because I'm a woman, and storms off.
Oh, my God. I would have tripped her, JK.
I know what I wanted to say, but I couldn't. Anyway, we love having you on. Kinsey Schofield, H&M landed in a private jet at Birmingham Airport last night. Birmingham, of course, only 20 miles an hour, so it was quite slow. They've arrived with their children, Archie and Lilibet, to apparently start school next week. But the row over who's going to pay for their armed police protection is exploding all over again. Pete thinks they should be protected. I think if you slag a country off, you can't then take advantage and they should pay for it themselves. Where are you on this, my darling?
I still think that if they're not going to commit to the country, we're hearing that Meghan Markle's going to go back and forth. I mean, why should you be on the hook to pay for two people that can't make up their mind? You know, they're trying to brand themselves as an international family. Sounds expensive. Deal with that yourself. I don't think that should be on you because they can't make things work anywhere. But I mean, I am with Ian Collins. Yesterday, I was like, my phone was blowing up and I was like,
sorry, can we stop there? Sorry, can we stop there? Because this could be the headline of all headlines. You are with Ian Collins.
Yeah, Ian, come here. No,
you see, the housewife's choice has done it again, the sly old fox, eh?
No, I mean, like, I'm with Ian Collins in the sense that, like, my phone was blowing up yesterday and I was not going to get out of bed for these two. When there's a Super Bowl and a team loses, our cameras aren't on the losing team coming home on the airplane. They're on the winning team. When your 20-something has to pack up his or her car and drive home because they've lost their first big boy job, we don't cover that on the news. This is Harry coming home with his tail between his legs, a loser. I don't understand why we are acting like it's the second coming of Christ.
Peter Blexley?
I most definitely am not acting like it's the second coming of Christ, but I am firm on this one point, in so much as that they will need to be protected. Harry is a particular target, I'm sure, for many fixated,
Only in
unwell
England
people.
is my question. Only in England?
Well, I think possibly wherever he goes. I think if you went to Afghanistan...
But he's been paying for himself, so why different because he's coming to England?
Yeah, but in the UK, private security cannot carry guns. And the children... The children need that level of protection. Absolutely they do. I think Harry should be a working royal and pay his way. I think that would be one way of justifying it, but I would imagine that's quite unlikely to happen. But just one
Harry's
last thing,
already
if I
told
may.
us he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. So
Yeah, well,
dream big.
Well, on that very note, of course, if they're starting school next week, they will need to go and get their school uniforms, won't they? So maybe snappers will be out photographing them as they go to school outfitters to get the uniforms for next week.
Here's the thing, it must have been...
we're not. They're not. No one's going to publish pictures of those children. That's already been agreed.
No,
by
the parents doing the shopping. That's what I mean.
already threatened to sue anyone that does.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder how long this has been going on, because you have to look at school prospectuses and go and visit schools and all that sort of stuff. I get where you're coming from, Pete. I'm not, and it's really important that we get different values. I'm going to throw something else in the mix that I just said to Pete, and he went, really? I think Harry, don't have a go at me, hear me out, has probably played a blinder out of desperation. Because let's be honest, he's back in England where he says he wants to be. His two precious children are back in England. Reports are saying that she's going to flit from here to America to continue her hugely unsuccessful self-opinionated business. I don't even know what it's called. I think they'll split, and I think he will keep the children. I think he will keep the children in England.
JK, I have been saying this. Yes, because... Remember when Meghan had her husband living in the States when she was living in Canada? This is not the first time Meghan Markle has split, had a husband in a different country. Trevor Ingleson finding out he's getting a divorce when she throws the rings in a FedEx envelope, and the FedEx man informs Trevor Ingleson that he no longer has a wife.
I'll go further, and I think that the only way that there will be a reconciliation, Pete, both of you, is when she's gone in the distance, he shows contrition, and this country will say...
I'm not done giving my evidence. What about Diana at Kensington Palace and Charles at Highgrove? This is a pattern that we've seen, JK. That's my point when it comes to the separation rumors.
Yeah, Pete?
Call me old-fashioned.
He's so nice. He's so not like us. We're horrible. He's
Call
lovely.
me old-fashioned. And there are a number of people that have been getting in touch with me in recent days saying, Peter, you're wrong on this. I agree with everything you say, but you're really wrong here. I'm not flying a flag for Harry and Meghan. I'm really not. But I do believe that he needs armed protection, and so do the kids. And the only people that can provide that are the police. And I do believe in forgiveness. I know they've done dreadful, dreadful things. I'm not their #1 supporter by any stretch of the imagination. And if I were related to them, yes, they'd have a very long road to travel before I could entirely trust them. But they do need protecting. There's a lot of nut jobs out there, dangerous people, deluded people, fixated people, and surely, whatever they have done, we do not want to see bloodshed on the streets of Britain.
Completely agree. I want her gone. I want her gone, and I believe that that will be the only way that he can be rehabilitated. Final word from you, Kins. I agree with your sentiment, Pete. I just think in life, we talked earlier about boundaries. Certain behaviour results in sanctions, in my opinion, Kins.
I just think why does he deserve special protection? Because his dad is the king. You know, you quit your job, you left your family, you're coming home because things didn't work out. Not a lot of people need protection from other people. They don't have the means that Harry does. He should pay for the protection he can afford. If they need a bow and arrow because they can't carry a gun, why can you guys carry swords over there? I don't understand. I just don't. I wouldn't want to be a British taxpayer having to pay for Prince Harry's security. I think he's disrespected the country immensely.
We love having you on. We're talking old-fashioned values. Kinsey, thank you so much. We'll speak to you next week. Thank you. Pete, you know, we were talking about old-fashioned values. This is my favourite one. The day it's announced they're going to cancel the landline and people are phoning us and saying things I still do. Dave says, I'm old-fashioned. I like to pay for my shopping before I leave the supermarket. That's bloody brilliant, isn't it?
It is.
Mate, do you know what I love most about this station is the ability to have a debate. We really appreciate the time this morning and have a lovely weekend. You're up north, aren't you?
Thank you. Yes, I am. I'm definitely not going to the Notting Hill Carnival, which is this weekend. I policed it once upon a time back in the 1980s, and a train of wild horses couldn't drag me down.
Enjoy Darlington. Peter Blexley will be back next week. We have the news at 7. James Price is on the way on the Home of Common Sense. Morning, Pete.
What are you drinking out of today? That can't still be my mug on your table there. That should have been in the post days ago, weeks ago, shouldn't it? Because I'm sitting here still with that cracked mug, waiting for it to go and spill hot coffee all over me. Really, I don't really want that. But, you just make sure you get that mug in the post to me today, so I've got it here for maybe Monday morning. Is that all right? Ta-da.
This is your fault, Christian. Giving up, yes, it is. I'm putting this firmly in your court, young man. I say young man, you're getting older and greyer by the day. Everybody would working with me. There are 20 mugs. He should have had a mug. People, I genuinely thought we were past this. But no, they haven't forgotten. You can try and beg for a mug. Best stories, 87 treble 2. Christian's he's head-butting the wall, PB. Thank you very much indeed. The news at 7 is next.
And where's me mug?
Go to Calais train station?
Yes, train station.
Okay. I was dipping. It was brutal. Come on, guys! Ready, full fast, go on! And they're on the way over to UK.
entire city is being overwhelmed, and there are people who bear direct responsibility. Those responsible are the national government, led by Pedro Sanchez and his ministers, as well as Mr. Marlaska, and of course, the European institutions, which have completely failed in what's supposed to be the European Union's external border.
Which country in Europe wipes everybody else's backside but its own people? Here.
Well, Morocco, of course, is hosting the next World Cup. I mean, are we suggesting that...
Oh, don't start me on the World Cup. We'll get
the country that's hosting the next World Cup is too unsafe. It's so unsafe.
Oh, great point.
People have to cross continents to come to Europe, and of course, and I have seen personally examples of this. People come from Morocco into Spain, across to the mainland, up France, through the south of France, up to the north of France, where they reach Calais and then eventually come to the UK.
It is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Some of you might remember a poster I put out 10 years ago called Breaking Point, where I showed vast numbers illegally breaking into the European Union. I made the point that if we vote for Brexit, we'll have the power to stop those people coming here. Sadly, the Tories failed us, Labour have failed us. Believe me, unless we get a reform government, those scenes you're seeing in Spain today, many of those young men, lots of them dangerous, will be heading towards Calais and coming to our country too. It is time to wake up. This is a battle for the future of our civilization. I can't put it any more plainly than that.
When you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile sweat law, however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our country.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Now they are. Welcome back. Just gone 7 o'clock. It is Thursday, the 27th of August. This is Jeremy Kyle on Talk, the home of common sense, as Tommy walks in with the next cup of tea. Top man, Tommy. 0344 499 1000 is the number you need. You can call us, you can leave a voice note, you can text me, 87222. We'll talk about this horrific story that's evolving in Nepal. Britons amongst hundreds lost, those flash floods. It's awful, the pictures. We'll talk about that. In the news, Harry and Meghan have landed at Birmingham Airport. They're back. Lots of you disinterested. Many not interested about anything other than the cost of security. That's the big debate. It is exploding all over again. Should indeed, right, we, the British taxpayer, pay for them to be protected. This is from Pam. A re-protection for Harry and Meghan, not the shop. The public should not pay for their security. Either he pays himself or the King pays. He has disrespected the monarchy and the British people. He doesn't deserve security paid by us, the hard-working British taxpayer. You see, that's the thing. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I don't know. I think that if you have to expect something from a country or a business, you have to respect them. Your thoughts will be very welcome. And I'm going to play it again because it's brilliant. For the people who go, we're not interested in Harry and Meghan, I get it. I mean, I get it. It's just that everybody seems to want to. That is, except for Ian Collins, my favourite broadcaster. I mean that, hand on heart. I look up to this man. I don't actually. He's so short. This was his response yesterday afternoon when Harry and Meghan landed at Birmingham. This is brilliant. This is just as they landed. This is the IC. Have a look.
Does anybody actually care? Does anybody... Am I the only... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. I do not care at all. Not a gnat's backside do I care. Not at all. I don't care about Meghan and... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. If they walked in this room, I'd say, get out. I don't care about Meghan and Harry. Can I put that any more emphatically? I do not care. I love Angela Levin, but I don't care about Meghan and Harry, all right? It doesn't keep me awake at night. I don't wake up in the morning going, I wonder what Megs is up to. Never, ever does it cross my mind. I don't give a hoot about Meghan and Harry. Also this afternoon, Meghan and Harry have arrived in the... No, we're not going to do that, OK? I promise you. Have we made that clear?
Brilliant. The main man, the Housewife's Choice, on from 1 o'clock this afternoon. So do you care about Harry and Meghan? Also, more migrant outrage for a Thursday. Check this. This is not the ECHR. This is the EHRC, the Equality and Human Rights Commission. These idiots are based in the United Kingdom, probably funded by us, to come up with ludicrous suggestions like overnight, they said, and I quote, don't get too angry here, I think we should give more money to migrants, said the Equality and Human Rights Commission. It's very difficult for them. Do these people, honestly, seriously, do they listen to anybody? Do they understand the pulse of the nation? I'd love to get your opinions on that. The Equality and Human Rights Commission say, oh, you, alarm clock Brits, you need to spend more money of your tax on these poor migrants who are breaking into our country. Who, let's just have a bit of fact, let's just do it. I know it's a daily thing. France isn't war-torn. They haven't born their wife and kids, they're throwing their papers in the sea, and they have to be given a document, right, this is the best bit, with an interpreter, because they can't speak English, that explains it's not a good thing to rape a woman or abuse a child. And on the back of that, that woman, Angela Rayner, back in government at the Housing Department, said last night, and well, should we play it? She says, illegal migrants, they're not coming here and having social housing. That's an absolute lie. No, Ange, what you're about to play on this station is a complete lie, isn't it?
But the idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
Yes, there aren't enough, love, because there are people coming here and taking them up. This is just a direct response to Reform earlier in the week saying that they would prioritise British-born working-class people, veterans and married couples. There aren't enough houses. You said it yourself, Ange, because people are coming here illegally and using them. The other thing which I wanted to sort of sprinkle amongst the misery of the Daily Breakfast Show here is old-fashioned values. We hear this morning that the old landline's being were taken away. It's going to be cancelled, which is devastating to many. And it got us thinking, what's the old-fashioned, old-school thing that you still do? Do you polish your shoes daily like me? Do you open the door to a woman like me? Do you say please and thank you, as Blexley said? Manners maketh man. Mike, good morning.
Morning, boys. Old-fashioned values we're talking about. That's right up my street. So, to start off, when people are speaking, I never interrupt them. I especially don't interrupt idiots. I tend to let them carry on making their mistake. And when I do have a reply, I respond rather than react. I still, to this day, do not leave the table until everybody has finished their food. And even if I need to leave the table, let's say to go to the toilet, I request permission. And a little personal one, I still use the same brand of soap that my grandfather did. Not that I'm going to tell you that.
The same soap or the same bar? Interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, look at this, right? Old-fashioned values, not starting to eat before everyone has been served, putting your knife and fork together on your plate after finishing, placing your chair back under the dining table when leaving the table. All these sorts of things that, for many people, are just mad. Jez, dressing smart on planes, says Patrick in Kent. He knows I'm going to be in my tracksuit tomorrow on the way to Spain. Now, 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. Old-fashioned values, please. Let's speak to a man now who epitomises old-fashioned values. I don't mean in terms of his dress sense, I mean in terms of how he is, because he's a proper classy gent. James Price, where have you been?
God bless you, my friend. It's great to be with you. I'm sorry I couldn't come into the studio, but, you know, they say the best way to make God laugh is to tell him your plans.
Fantastic. Where are you?
I'm in a bit of London that would have been too difficult to get to at this time of the morning with some logistics going on. It's not, as your producer said, a very fancy hotel room. It's a very mid-ranking hotel room.
Is it? Well, we all know about mid-ranking hotel rooms. Jay, great to have you on, my friend. Mrs. Price, doing well?
She's very well, and she is a big proponent of old-school values, as all people should be. Especially, I'll tell you the story one day about how I sought permission from her father to ask for her hand in marriage, and although I got a big thumbs up, I was then treated in no uncertain terms to the scariest moments of my life, when my father-in-law drove me out into the middle of the cornfields of rural Indiana and reminded me what a powerful and terrifying man he was before showing me his very extensive gun collection and wood chipper afterwards, which I think is old school values par excellence.
I love it. I love it. Mate, where do you want to start? Can we start with this? Because you'd know more about this than me. And it was Pete who pointed out the difference between the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights, that seems to block us doing anything we want, and the Equality and Human Rights Commission that today has surpassed even itself by saying, and I quote one of its chiefs yesterday saying, "Hard up, Brits, you might be, but you need to hand over more taxpayer cash because these poor migrants are having it really hard," James Price.
Yeah, I think that any acronym that you get that one gets confused over should probably be something that we have abolished. It's either something that everybody understands, like BBC or whatever it may be, or NHS, or it's some faceless group of people. You never know who's actually in control of it, and yet they have a huge amount of power over your life. The ECHR needs to go because it is a bunch of foreign judges whose rulings take priority and precedence over what is supposed to be a sovereign parliament. Everybody knows that. But the EHRC, God, I mean, I can't imagine Angela Rayner can even spell any of these. The EHRC was actually for a while one of the more sensible executive agencies or quangos around being funded by the government, because it was run by a vaguely sensible woman called Kershaw Faulkner. She was one of the people who seemed in a sea of madness to understand that there were only two sexes and that it wasn't a kindness to chop off children's bits during what is now referred to as woke one. But of course now Labour have come in, they've appointed a new person to run that who's been running it for 8 months or something now, and lo and behold, it goes back to your good old socialist commie nonsense. Let's send more money to foreigners. Maybe we should think about the equalities and human rights of the British people who have been subjected to a form of subjugation and humiliation ritual for far too long now, rather than sending the money that the alarm clock Brits listening to this show right now got up to go and earn, to send it to a bunch of foreigners who've broken into the country.
Completely agree. And actually, I don't know if you saw this, Top Minister Pat McFadden yesterday finally admitted that our benefit system is utterly flawed. Of course it's flawed. It now outcosts, for want of a better phrase, what we get back from people actually going to work and paying tax. Have you seen the Rayner clip as well? Have you seen that?
I always watch her from the back of the sofa. It's just extraordinary, terrifying to realise.
To actually come out yesterday and say it is false news, fake news almost, she's saying, to say that foreign nationals are taking up social housing. That's a lie, isn't it, JP? They are. That is a lie.
Well, with Angela Rayner, it's always difficult to know whether it's a lie or whether she really doesn't have the double-digit IQ required at the very bare minimum to understand what words mean or what facts are or what day of the week it might be. If you think I'm being cruel to her, I'm trying to be nice, because the alternative is that she is just a complete and utter liar, despite having thousands and thousands of civil servants in her department scurrying around trying desperately to say, come on, Big Ange, this is what's actually going on, say the words back to me. She is either incapable of doing it or she is just a total and utter liar. And I'll let the readers and viewers and watchers of this programme choose.
And that's the point. So in the process of reading that out, Christian's passed me some information. I think probably because I mentioned my daughter lives in Edinburgh. It's been reported this morning, this is just in, that the Labour-run council in Edinburgh, and there's definitive proof out there, is bumping asylum seekers straight to the top of the council housing list over hard-working local residents in Edinburgh. So Angela Rayner, our housing secretary, who's making wildly false accusations, doesn't even know that in Edinburgh this is happening the whole time and already. It's just... Do you know, I said this to somebody yesterday, mate, right? We can sit here and we can talk about these things every day. You were a special advisor. I've probably asked you before, and if I have, I apologise. Do you think nobody ever taps these idiots on the arm and goes, mate, that's wrong? That you're not... In the end, somebody's going to play this back to you at some point and say, well, look, there's Edinburgh, and there's another 40 councils where asylum seekers are being bumped to the top of lists, Angela. Do you think it would be a good idea if you didn't say that? Are special advisors not of the ilk that they used to be, JP?
Well, they're obviously not, because they're all working for a bunch of commies, right? So by the obvious standard of that, if you're a communist, Socialist, Labour Party, special advisor or supporter in any way, and you still are there even after the 2 years of punishment beatings that Labour have doled out to this country into everybody's wallets, then you must be a bit of a low-altitude flyer yourself. But to be fair to some of Angela Rayner's spads, they're probably too busy like tying up her shoelaces for her or reminding her how many houses that she's got, or is it rude to mention that now, the fact that she was, you know, forced out of government of the job that she's in right now by being, once again, a massive, great big fat liar about these things. So why would you be surprised that she would lie about these kinds of policy points?
It's just extraordinary to me that this government seemed to have no understanding. Of course, Andy Burnham runs around the place giving out, you know, energy VAT cuts. That's been decimated by the increase by Ofgem yesterday by 60 quid. So that's completely blown out of the water. Let's drop bus travel to £2. Well, that was because Starmer took it from 2 quid to 3 quid. So it's just reversing something his predecessor did. But this sort of belief that you can run around this country doling out things, and maybe I'm wrong here, maybe people swallow this BS, but I'm of the firm belief, JP, now, that there has never been a moment in my lifetime when the British people weirdly and strangely seem more invested in the political situation. I don't know whether it's because they get more news from social media or there are alternative outlets like Talk to the mainstream media who won't be talking about this morning. They're obviously quite rightly talking about Nepal, but nobody will touch the fact that our housing secretary can blatantly lie, and she thinks the British people will buy that. And I'm sort of here to tell her that the people I speak to don't believe a word that's being said to them. And that's not only quite strong, that's quite worrying if you're in politics, if you stop listening to what people genuinely think.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the Labour government have done this all the way through. I think that some of it is that they genuinely believed when they were in opposition the nonsense that they were spouting. They really did, some of them, bless them, think that the only problem was the evil, mean, nasty Tories deliberately trying to hurt people and make the lives of everybody in the country worse. Because that's what they were just going around spouting, and eventually people started to listen to them about it. They genuinely thought that all they'd have to do was come swanning into the government departments and saying, look, the nice socialists are here now, we'll tax those mean, evil, rich people, we'll tax the people who actually go to work and give it to all the folks who, God bless them, just don't want to get out of bed in the morning, and that everything was suddenly turned into a land of milk and honey, and the rainbows would come out and the farmyard animals would start singing and all the rest of it. And then they get in and realise, wait a minute, we are actually even more useless by an order of magnitude than the Conservatives were, who were at least trying and failing to get stuff done. And we've just decided to accelerate the demise of the country in every conceivable way. And they've got no other way around this stuff. Some of them, again, though, do you remember Darren Jones, that kind of Peznek guy who was Keir Starmer's sort of chief underling? He went on Question Time on the BBC, and he said, look, the vast majority of people who are coming over on the small boats are women and children. And again, either he's just a complete liar or he's just that thick and he's just bought all this BS. Because, of course, the truth is it's well over 90% of people are young fighting-age men coming into the country, leaving their wives and children behind in the horrible countries from which they fled.
But there's the point. And I've said that about Darren Jones. I don't know whether their ideology, Rayner, him, others, so overpowers them that reality never strikes them between the shoulder blades, or they're those politicians who actually, I think very disrespectfully, are still under the impression that it actually doesn't matter what the British public think, that it actually, you know, we're going to do what we do. I've been through the feeling that the British public at certain points had lost any faith and any interest. But I do believe, whether it's the cost of living, I'm not getting into a debate about COVID, whether it's immigration, whether it's the lack of drilling, the cost of energy, whatever it is, I think people, for the first time in our history, certainly in my lifetime, are going, hold on a minute. I've never said this, but actually my vote does count, and I am entitled to an opinion. I don't agree with that. That doesn't make me far right. Doesn't make me a protester. If you know, you can do that every week in London if you're pro-Palestine, I'm sure. But I'm a genuine, hard-working Brit, and I've a right to a bloody opinion. And actually, I'm rather enhanced in my strength because I hear other people feel exactly the same. I don't feel like this lone wolf. I actually think common sense is right here. And that's why stations like this are growing, because other stations, that the mainstream media, will set... I mean, you know, we did that story, I don't know, did you see our world exclusive with Isabel and Christian Drogan, which was incredible? And the pickup is wonderful. No, I mean, yes, it was in the Times and the Telegraph and the Sun. Nothing on the BBC or Sky, of course not. That's, and that was an interesting exercise as well, because within 5 minutes of announcing that with Isabel on Tuesday, the Home Office had written a letter to us saying this is reckless and irresponsible. And Christian Drogan came on the show, I don't know if you saw this, and went, it's really weird, because last night when we released it to them, they said, we're going to have a meeting this week so that you can give us the information you've got. Just don't think they listen to people, these government departments and ministers, mate.
I think you're exactly right, and this is the big problem. That the whole point of democracy is supposed to be that it provides a feedback mechanism and a kind of a disciplinary procedure for the people who are in charge of us. In our constitution, we imbue politicians with an absolutely extraordinary amount of power. Parliament can basically do whatever it wants. It's not like the American system with its checks and balances, or the EU where, no one being elected at all tends to help in that situation. But
the only checks and balances we would perceive to have is the House of Lords, and that's become a resting home for anybody who fails politically, in my humble opinion.
Well, quite right. But the ultimate check is the people, and the consent of the people being conveyed through regular and free and fair and open elections. The problem we've had for a long time now is that, as I've got bored almost of saying to you and your listeners and viewers, but when Starmer and co came in 2 years ago and replaced Sunak, only 200 people across the entirety of the British state changed jobs. The special advisors we've just been teasing, including myself, and the ministers. There's 100 of each of those or so. And every other civil servant stayed exactly the same. And those are the people who don't bother listening to what the public want. And they're the ones who tell the politicians, no, your job is to basically go and sell what it is that we're doing to the people. And rather than actually listening and saying, what is it that the British people want me to do? What is good for the British people? Instead, it's a bunch of the kind of clerisy of civil servants and NGOs and all the rest of it saying things like, why don't you send more of taxpayers' hard-working money to foreigners in this country?
I couldn't agree more. I'm sort of loath to ask you this, because I'm not spending too much time on it. Now, I played my clip from Ian Collins yesterday, whose stomach turns every time anybody talks about Harry and Meghan. I feel the same, but the demand means I have to talk about it. Rob from Newcastle. I stand with Ian Collins and do not care at all. On all of my apps, they don't get a mention. They don't exist. We're being invaded by people. Hundreds have lost their lives in Nepal. I'd rather watch grass grow than find out what the hell those two are up to. Where do you stand on this?
Well, look, either Harry and Meghan are complete and utter narcissists and attention-seeking whores, and in that case we should probably ignore them, or they are sincere in their desire to be given their privacy, in which case we should ignore them.
I love you. Thank you so much indeed. And your number one old-fashioned tip would be?
I got two ones very quickly. Go to church on a Sunday morning, people. If you don't believe in it right now, go. You'll meet lovely people. It'll make you feel humble about your place in the world, and it'll make you feel connected to our great civilization. And the second one is that you should, if you're a gentleman, you should always stand on the roadside where at all possible when you're walking down the street with a woman. And if you've got to say, please, I'm ever so sorry, I'm a bigot, I've got to do this, or I can see my grandmother in heaven telling me off for not doing it, then do that. But get yourself between the lady and the puddles and the cars. Unless, of course, you're walking past an HMO, and then the lady's probably safer walking next to the cars in the building.
JP, we love you. Thank you, my friend. Speak to you soon. Have a great bank holiday weekend. John in Forfar says, old-fashioned values, standing up when a lady comes into the room, saying please and thank you, and not throwing rubbish out your car. Sarah, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. Morning, Peter. Just listening to your conversation about good old-fashioned manners and traditions. Hankies you were talking about. My dad used to have a proper fabric hanky, and I can remember my mum putting a special hanky wash through, and because it was all had to be in a hot wash. I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's pretty disgusting if you think about it, using the same old thing over and over again. But Mum taught me how to iron on Dad's hankies, because they had to be ironed in a particular way, and that was one of the first items I ever ironed. So gosh, that's a blast from the past. Bless them. May God rest their souls. But hey, happy memories.
go to Calais train station?
Yes, train station.
Okay. I was getting it. It was brutal. Come on, guys! Ready, full touch, go on! And we're on the way over to UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:27. We were just talking off air, listening to the traffic and travel there. So there's a 3-mile queue heading into London because of flash flooding. It was about 3 weeks ago. There was a queue heading into London because the road was melting. Christian just came out with the oldest dad comment I've ever heard in my life. He said, there's something quite refreshing looking out of the window at the rain and the clouds, isn't it? It's sort of quintessentially English. Yeah, no, I've got to go to Spain for a wedding for a weekend, and I'm not looking forward to it being 27 degrees and sipping cocktails, kidless. My children are staying with their grandparents this weekend. Fantastic, joyous. Christian's going to Wales. Which is interesting. Rob and Ian Collins are not in the slightest bit interested in Harry and Meghan. I share that enthusiasm. Bill says, angry Rob has a brother. Angry Ian Collins. Morning, Jess, says Liam from Acton. If they're getting rid of landlines, as you've been reporting, how are old people going to phone talk? Very good idea. See, that's what... See what I mean? They won't be able to. Tim says, old-fashioned values, I still stand up when the national anthem is played. My old man did that. And here's the thing on Harry and Meghan. Tyrone, I would happily pay for the security of the ginger and the whinger if we could stop bloody well talking about them once and for all. I can't be the only one who is sick and tired of hearing about them. David!
David from Bromley here, a Millwall supporter. That's probably going to upset you both. But anyway, listen, about Harry's protection. Peter, you're definitely right. He does need protection because who knows, but we, the public, are being rinsed everywhere. The king has got more money than probably the whole country. I'm afraid they need to pay for it from the family, not from us, the taxpayers.
I think that's probably quite a balanced view. At 7:30, Rob is about to go make a cup of tea and switch off. Dickie Arbiter, former press secretary to Her Majesty the Queen, top man. And if anybody knows about old-fashioned values, it's Dickie. How are you, dear boy?
I'm well, thank you, young man. How are you?
I'm all right. Before we talk about H&M, a whole big thing this morning, they're going to, apparently, it's a major red alert, they're going to get rid of the landline so that old people, that's going to affect old people like you. I'm joking, Dickie. Old-fashioned values. You were in royal service. The old man taught me to open the door for a woman, stand on the outside as one walked down the street, polish one's shoes, say please, say thank you, sit up straight at the table. What about some old-fashioned values that the Arbiter knows that he doesn't see anymore or that he maintains?
Well, one thing, I maintain everything that you just mentioned. One thing you don't do is when you're dining in a public area and a lady wants to leave the table, you don't stand up when she leaves the table because it's actually drawing attention to what she's going off to do.
Wow. Wow. So in the later years of his life, I remember the old man going to see some friends, similar age, went to visit. If the lady left the room, it's not a restaurant, he would stand up. Or or she came into the room. Maybe she came into the room, but he was very much like that, Dickie.
Come into the room, yes, but if you're in a restaurant, a public area, don't stand, don't draw attention to what, everybody's looking and say, ha, 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 she's going to the loo. We don't want that. Just leave her alone, let her do her own thing.
Do you think that all traditional old-fashioned values are disappearing at too rapid a speed?
They've disappeared.
Really? Sad, isn't it? Do you use a cup and saucer?
No, I actually use mugs because I don't drink tea.
You don't drink tea, Arbiter?
No, I don't like tea.
Oh, I don't know how you managed to get to where you got to. You're not... Hey, there's one good thing. You're not getting a talkTV mug. That's brilliant. I'm happy about that. Right, my friend. H&M, as they're affectionately known on this show, touched down at Birmingham Airport last night with their children, Archie and Lilibet, ready for the kids to start school in the UK. Before we get into a protracted debate, I'm going to throw something at you. We'll talk security in a tick. There was a big piece in the Mail yesterday about how their new life looks. Harry allegedly wants to be the stay-at-home dad, 12 to 15 years, kids at school, doing the school run. That will sustain him with his charity work. Sparkle will go backwards and forwards to California, still imagining that her business is going to work and loving the life of Hollywood. You'll tell me I'm being cynical. I'd say he might just have well played a blinder, weirdly, without talking about security, because if he's back in the country that he wants to be in with the children he adores and she's flitting left, right and centre, the truth probably is they're going to end up splitting and he's going to get his way, isn't it?
Well, he's going to get his way for a while. It's interesting, isn't it? Since they leaked the story that they were coming back 7 days ago, there's been something in the media every single day, and I can understand why the great British public are absolutely bored with it, because a lot of it is not based on fact. A lot of it is hearsay. A lot of it is speculation that Harry's going to stay at home, be a stay-at-home dad. She's going to flit back and forth to sell her jam and her new apple spread. I think we've got to wait and see what they're going to do. What Harry is definitely going to do, he's going to be more hands-on with Invictus because it's less than a year away now. He's now in the country where it's going to happen, which is Birmingham, and he wants hands-on. So that's going to keep him occupied, as well as his two charities, Well Child, which helps children really recover at home rather than in hospital, and Scottish Little Soldiers, which helps young people come to terms with the loss of a parent in conflict. So he's got enough to keep him occupied. What's going to occupy her, I really don't know. She's going to be more in the air than on the ground, I think.
Do you think that this points this sort of, and this has been leaked, this sort of separate lives-ish, do you think this points to more or not?
Well, her life is in the States, her business is in the States. Whether it's successful or not, she's going to continue pursuing it. And Harry's got things to do here. Whether he stays after Invictus, that remains to be seen. If you read yesterday's papers, it was anything from 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, 15 years, temporarily, whatever temporary means. We've just got to wait and see. But I think certainly Harry will be here to see through the Invictus Games. What happens after that, only he can say.
As an ex-press secretary to the Queen, in terms of this whole argument, which is not going away, let me tell you, the cost of security. Peter Blexley was on earlier and he said, I don't have any respect for either of them about what they said or what they've done, but he is the son of the king, third in line to the throne, his children fourth and fifth, they should get protection. British taxpayers, Dickie, are up in arms going, no, hold on a minute, we're right up against it here, we're having a terrible time. They diss this country, they want nothing to do with it, they can't just click their fingers and come back and get what they want when it suits them. Where are you on this issue, my friend?
Well, I think you've put the finger on it. They diss the country, and now they've come back and they want security. There's going to be a lot of anger if Ravek agree to security, albeit in a limited fashion, when he goes out, rather than 24-hour guard. He is a high-profile figure. He has been very silly in saying he killed 25 Taliban in his book. Very stupid thing to say, but then he's not exactly empowered with brains. And he could be a target. And the UK security services have a duty to protect high-profile VIPs. Harry is a high-profile VIP. And unfortunately, it could become a liability for the taxpayer. One of your viewers saying, well, the king's rich, he should pay for it. We don't pay the security services from private funds. It's paid for out of public funds. Whether there's an avenue to go through the sovereign's grant to pay for it, that then becomes, in a word, sort of taxpayers.
You know how much of a royal I am, so this probably won't sound right, but I sort of agree. If we're in a position where experts decide that this bloke needs protecting, whatever he's said and done and how he's perceived to come back here because he knows he's going to get it, whatever it is, I don't think the taxpayer will stomach that. And weirdly, actually, and you know I'm a royalist, I think the king, if he read the room, like he did with Andrew, when Andrew somehow got £12 million from inside the royal family about the Epstein disaster, or disgusting, the stuff that came out, maybe, you know, the want for a monarchy that's understood and is modernised, maybe the king will have to put his hand in his pocket. I'm not denying the fact the kid's high profile, and I understand the fact that security services in the UK, private security services, cannot have weapons. I get all of that. But there's just a basic thing, I think, and I've said this about so much in the country right now, Dickie. I think people's opinions, some people will say, oh, it's all about social media. It's not actually all about social media. I think Britons are really struggling, hard-working Brits in many ways. Tax, security, immigration, the NHS, whatever it is. And I think these sorts of stories, when they see people who are in a privileged position or in a position of power being treated unfairly better, I think people have had enough of that. I really mean it. And I think that whoever decides or whatever this comes out, I don't think the taxpayer will swallow this, and being completely honest.
I think you're absolutely right. The taxpayer are going to be angry. They're not going to swallow it. And as I said a moment ago, the only solution, because none of us can pay for state security out of our own pockets.
No.
And that includes the king. And therefore, the only avenue open is something from the sovereign grant to pay for the security, rather than direct payment by the taxpayer. Yet there are those who will argue, say, well, everything that comes from the sovereign grant is from the Crown Estate is taxpayers' money, but it is indirectly when you're looking at, say, something like paying for security. There's no quick fix, there's no quick answer. But at the end of the day, Harry is a high-profile person. He has said some stupid things. He could well be a target. The world is not safe today, and security is probably a must.
It's really good to have you on, mate. Got a good bank holiday weekend lined up. What are you up to?
I'm still away. I'm still in foreign climes, soaking up 32 degrees sunshine.
Just get off. Just get off. God, we've got rain now, and I know I'm getting old. Do you know what I said this morning? Oh, that'll be good for the grass. Dickie, enjoy the holiday. Top man. Jules, good morning.
Jules from Norfolk. So Harry and Meghan have threatened the people of this country by saying if any of them take a picture of them or their children, they're going to sue them. Who do they actually think they are? They make me sick, the pair of them. I'd like to see them pack their bags, turn around and get themselves on a plane and go back to Montecito. We don't want them here. I can't stand them. The last week has drove me crazy about them coming here and what they're going to do and where they're going to live and whatnot. Just please stop talking about them. I'm with Ian Collins on this. Ignore them and they might go away.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back and welcome along. If it's welcome along, where the hell have you been? It's 18 minutes to 8. We're live across... Oh, I've lost the system now. That's gone down. I'm so technically incapable. Christian's going to stride in here in a stroppy way, throwing his head about, going, you're such an idiot, aren't you?
You're an idiot.
That's not very nice, is it? You're off to Wales this weekend?
Yep.
What do they call it? No, I'm not going to do it. What are you doing in Wales? For your dad?
No, I'm going to hang out with my mum.
You're going to what?
Hang out with my mum.
Can I just give you some news? She's not your mum. 0344 499 1000. I'm messing. By the way, I've got to abuse my position for a sec. Good morning. I told you about this wedding we're going to this weekend in Marbella. Darren, Jules, hanging. It's going to be amazing. All of them are currently sat around the breakfast table, listening, watching. Bless them. You'd think you'd have something better to do in Marbella. It's a big weekend for Tom, of course. Tom Lawton, he's marrying Ruta, his future wife, who's known as Wi-Fi. Which is... Do you see what I did there? Yeah, that's brilliant. Sophia's excited, Nathan's excited, Darren's excited, I'm excited because it's going to be fantastic. He says, see you tomorrow, we're going to have some fun in the sun. Great, so I've given away where I'm going. And the good thing about Marbella, apart from the weekend and great friends, is it's not going to rain. Because it's raining here. Flash floods. The M4 closed. On a serious note, though, one thing I do want to talk about, this story about Nepal and Tibet, nearly 1,000 people missing, including Brits. That is a horrific, horrific story. And somebody said earlier, doesn't that put it into perspective what's going on in the world? People are losing their lives in terrible, terrible situations. And we've got politicians here saying, oh, let's just give out all we haven't got to people who don't deserve it. I'll tell you what I want to do quickly. I just want to transition. Hello, my name's Jemima. No, I'm joking. Harry Wilkinson is the head of policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
There are certain subjects that leave me cold. This is one of them. We had Burnham in his Let's Give Out Sweets to the Public rushing around a few weeks ago and saying, I'm cutting VAT off energy bills. That'll save 40 quid. Ofcom yesterday, the regulator, announced that typical household bills will rise by £60 from October, completely negating what your man had given us, probably politically. We've got this new... We've got this new energy secretary. I didn't think anybody could be on a par with Ed Miliband. Miata Fambula, when asked on another station if the rises in bills are a result of not just the Middle East conflict, which the government always throws out, but maybe, you know, choices that they've made, she went, well, no. Another example on the back of Rayner at her housing comments today, of a Labour government that is frankly, Harry, lying to the British people, isn't it?
I was going to say exactly that. I mean, what makes me so angry in all of this is just how much the British public has been deceived. We were told, of course, back in 2024, when this government came in, that our bills would be going down by £300. Of course, we knew, and they knew, that they were loading all these costs onto the energy system. Where are these costs coming in? They're coming in because we're having to build loads of new grid connections to all these disparate wind and solar installations. We're having to pay more and more generation to be on standby for when the wind isn't blowing, the sun isn't shining. We're having to, even pay wind turbines to switch off. And so this massive program to expand the amount of renewable energy we use has always going to have been a really expensive experiment. We're living in that experiment, and we've got a government that's telling us our bills are going to come down. They aren't going to come down. The energy companies themselves have said even if in 2030 the gas price was zero, our bills would still be higher then than they are now.
The thing I don't understand, and you're an expert, right? And again, it sort of... This covers so much, Harry, from my point of view, because I sit here every day and I hear repeated politicians say things that are blatantly untrue. Yesterday, Angela Rayner came out and said the fact that social housing is under pressure is not because people are coming to this country illegally and going to the top of the list. It's a blatant lie. It's been proven this morning in Edinburgh City Council. We had Miliband and now we've got Fambula literally going onto television and radio stations and saying, I know we said we dropped the price of energy and we know it's gone up, but that's absolutely to do with the conflict in the Middle East. None of them will accept that this desperate desire to achieve net zero by whenever, when we only, release a percentage, 1% of carbon emissions in the world, because nobody else gives a toss. They're getting on with, caring about their people. That nobody has the intelligence to go, you want to spend £800 billion on achieving something that hasn't and isn't going to drop our energy bills, which is, by the way, screwing families and businesses. You expect us to swallow it, and my question's always been, when you get to your blessed net zero, and you've completely and utterly trashed us economically, what happens? You get a medal or something? Oh, well done, you've got... I don't understand how we are putting in power people who are making such ludicrous decisions, but I do believe the British public won't swallow it much longer. I really do.
You've put the nail on the head. When we get to that nirvana of net zero, there isn't a magic prize at the end. There's nothing. All that happens is we have an energy system that, does what our old system used to do, but just a bit worse. I call this whole policy decarbonisation in one country. Climate change is an issue that people should be caring about, but it's not going to be solved by the UK with our less than 1% of global emissions immiserating ourselves. What we need to do is develop the technologies that people would use without being forced to use them. Compulsion is not something that other countries are going to want to copy. And, when Claire Coutinho was an energy minister, she asked her department to look at what was the truth. Was wind and solar really cheaper than gas? And they were putting together that piece of analysis. And Ed Miliband cancelled that when he came in. So I think she understood that the kind of whole myths that they were telling themselves in the department were completely wrong. And you've got too many people, I think, in government and in our governing classes who would rather paint this alternative reality and deny themselves the facts that we've got to get energy costs down. We've got to get bills lower for people. And of course, if electricity is cheaper, then it might be more likely that people buy an electric car or a heat pump. These technologies are...
We have the highest prices in the Western world. We've got an asset in the North Sea. It's just, they say... I think it's very interesting, people, they say to me, what, so you don't care about the climate? Of course I care about the climate, but I also care about people who can't heat their homes. Old people. I care about farmers who are killing themselves because their lives are being absolutely ransacked. I care about having the highest incidence of tax in 75 years. I care about the fact we've got no policemen and women on the streets, or not enough. I care about the fact that our armed forces are decimated, and I don't in any way understand how a government can, with a straight face actually to the British people, say I'm going to spend billions and billions on some vanity project in the hope that the left go, oh, you might save the world. People say to me I'm wrong, but I think it's about priorities. And all I'm saying is our priorities right now, in my mind, are screwed. It's all round the wrong way. It's absolutely round the wrong way. And that's why certain parties have arrived on the scene to say, and it's not popular, is it? But let's do right by the British people first and foremost.
Yes, just as there are real victims because of climate change, there are real victims because of climate policy. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs in the North Sea that are being lost. There's also, jobs that are missed out, opportunities that are missed out. Think of the fracking opportunities we may have, high-skilled,
Oh, you can't mention that word. What about the Friends of the Earth?
Which need it.
Do you know, they said to me about fracking, they said, well, what about the poor people that live nearby? Give them a free energy bill for a year. Use your bloody brain. I don't get it. Honestly, I'm not intelligent enough to get it, but I do tell you something. The British people are at the end of their tether.
They are. And what the government doesn't seem to get is there's a difference between supply and demand. If we use our own oil and gas here, that doesn't increase our demand for it. We're just using oil and gas that we wouldn't have to import from elsewhere. We can still look at having more efficient homes. We can still look at getting EVs and heat pumps and other things, but much better for the oil and gas that we are using to come from domestic sources. We get to keep the tax revenues. We get to keep the jobs.
Imagine.
We get to actually improve the economy. But that's, wonderful opportunity is being completely ignored and denied and closed off in the North Sea. It's baffling and it's devastating for these communities that this is being done.
Mate, it's great. Listen, there are certain organisations we'll always be delighted to have on, and the Global Warming Policy Foundation speaks common sense about energy and the crisis it involves, and we thank you as ever for coming on. Harry Wilkinson on Talk Breakfast, 8 minutes to 8. Can I just say, this old-fashioned value thing's gone mad. They are planning to get rid of the landline. I just threw out earlier, what are the old-fashioned school things that you still do? Manners, please, thank you. Standing up when a woman comes into the room, opening a door. This makes me... Look at this. Pete in Villamora. This is what's wrong with the world. I'm an old guy, but I was brought up to show respect and manners, particularly to the ladies. I still open the car door for my wife. The last time I held the door open for a lady carrying some shopping, recently her exact words were, "It may surprise you, but we feeble females are quite capable of opening an effing door without your help." Lesson learned. They can do one. Karen, good morning.
I want to just say that I'm a very independent type of woman. I'm able to wire my own plugs. I can even take my own bins out. However, I really, really appreciate men. I think men should be the protector. I think they should open doors. I think that you should just accept that they're physically stronger and accept the safety that we are actually going to need probably sooner than we realise. So stop this "I'm an independent woman" crap and get with the programme, because we are going to need these guys and they need to be stepping up.
Couldn't agree more. I haven't got an awful lot of time, but I'm really keen to do this net big. I made a point of this yesterday. I know Robbie is big on this. Lots of people are. One of the things that I think is disgusting on the back of this migrant situation is the fact that the government, firstly with David Lammy as Justice Secretary and now with Alex Norris, are refusing to carry out, or rather, they're refusing to release data on how many crimes are committed by foreign criminals, migrants, illegal migrants. He's been urged, Alex Norris, by families of murder victims, by families of people who have been sexually assaulted, but the left continue with this, these poor people are refugees. No, they're not. They're violent, unfettered men. I'm delighted to have my next guest on. Siobhan Wright is, of course, Rhiannon White's mother. Asylum seeker Den Magic was jailed for life for the murder of Rhiannon, who worked at the hotel that he was staying in. The government is, I'm afraid, trying to deny publications about crimes like this. Siobhan, a very good morning. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. How are you?
Good morning. Morning.
We've never spoken before. I've followed your story. I know your desperate attempts to get people invested in this story. I mean, I even when they were talking about, the release of data and this refusal, it sort of immediately my nose is out of joint. What the hell have the government got to hide, Siobhan?
Not a clue. I was asked this yesterday as well, and I'm led to believe that I think they've threatened to press charges on 11 families who have asked for the data protection, which really we should be entitled to.
But you know the interesting thing about... Sorry, the interesting thing about politics is they're so stupid, our politicians. They think that by... I bet somebody's whispered, we don't want to do that because it'll fuel tension. The truth of the matter is, by saying they're not going to, every single person with a brain cell in this country is going, hold on a minute, what are you covering up, right?
What are you hiding? Exactly. This is the main question. What are they hiding? I mean, they put out the stupid brochures last week, the week before, do not rape this child. Well, they're not going to listen to them. So all of a sudden it's down to data protection. No, it's not right. There's definitely something going on.
In terms of you yourself, and everybody knows I've got 6 kids, can't even begin to imagine what somebody like you has gone through. When that asylum seeker, Den Majek, took your daughter's life so callously, I mean, some of the details of the story I was reading last night is just horrific. I mean, horrific. Yeah. Do you just become sanitised to it? Because I wouldn't rest. I don't know what I'd do.
No, I go through stages, to be honest. I go through angry, sad, majority of the time, I am angry. I'm angry that they allowed him in. I'm angry that he was, allowed to wander the streets. But he showed no remorse, and I think that's what gets me really angry. He just didn't care. You know, when he got arrested, he went to the police station and fell asleep. Like, he didn't care.
Do you believe that the issue of allowing unvetted men into this country is ever going to improve, or do you not believe politicians' words?
I don't believe politicians' words. I think we're not on a win-win situation unless the government, you know, admit what's going on and tell us the truth. I hate to say it, but I think we're kind of going down.
You wrote to Keir Starmer and got no response. Have you written to Burnham?
Twice.
No
4 times I wrote to Starmer, nothing. Wrote to Andy Burnham twice, nothing. I do have a meeting next week in the Home Office with Minister Tully, I think, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Will they do anything?
Anna Tully, the Home Office Minister, who this week paid tribute to those 5 youths who were killed 2 policemen, yeah. I mean, for me, it's almost incomprehensible what you've gone through on a personal level, but it highlights entirely an issue whereby I genuinely think that the government in this country seem to favour people who commit crimes over victims. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the thing is, we have enough for our own men, you know, white British, black British, it doesn't matter what colour, you know, I don't care what colour they are, but we have enough of those. But the government can't deny the fact that since these immigrants have been coming in for however long, the crime rate has risen. There is something daily. Now, you know, Rihanna's left behind a little boy. I've got other grandchildren. My fear is, what is this country going to be like when they're older?
Couldn't agree more. Listen, I always appreciate anybody coming on the show, but certainly somebody sharing their story. And in Rhiannon's, memory, and you said there about her son, this station will always do everything it can to highlight the fact against the mainstream media that this country is being invaded. These aren't words, these are genuine facts, and we send our thoughts to you and your family, obviously, but this is always an outlet for you. Please be aware of that, OK, my darling?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Siobhan White, Rhiannon's white mother, her daughter murdered by an illegal migrant, and she fights and fights to get the figures released that will tell us how many crimes in this country are being committed by people who shouldn't be here. And we have a government that says, you lot have no right to know. Really? You watch. News at 8 next.
There's two big pull factors. One is that they speak the English language, you know, because we spent a couple of centuries going around the world colonising it and teaching everyone our language.
There's the reason that the Labour Party will forever allow people to come to this country.
They've got a network of people that speak our language, and the other is that there is a black economy.
Sam, you're not telling me a majority of migrants who come to this country can speak English, are you?
A lot of them come because they feel they can work better in the English language than they can in many other European languages.
Explain to me then why they don't bring their wives and children.
The Home Secretary has brought forward a very rigorous plan in relation to this, and let's remember, of course, the numbers can fluctuate, but overall boat crossings are down quite significantly year on year, so that does suggest that the plan is working.
We've just witnessed drone footage of the French authorities handing out life jackets to illegal immigrants and then waving them goodbye as they head on their way towards the UK. So the French are actively helping and facilitating illegal immigration. In addition to that, the French forces did nothing to stop that huge migrant dinghy. In fact, the dinghy came out, then it went back to the beach to pick up even more illegal immigrants and then departed for a second time. During all of that, the French did nothing, and they even handed out life jackets and waved goodbye as these illegal immigrants head towards the UK. I think that's terrible. I mean that anyone who did cross the channel and arrive in Dover could be immediately deported within around about a week.
Wait a second, he's just dragging a line by the look of it.
Is that a warning shot towards us? I don't know.
Well, I was trying to work out.
Okay. The French officers could clearly see we were conducting an interview on the back of the fishing boat. They sailed extremely close to us and started firing gunshots, 11 live rounds. We could see the bullets hitting the water behind our boat. They weren't firing before their approach. They weren't firing afterwards. There was no notification of any kind of training exercise. So it did seem to me to be an effort to intimidate us.
The thing that I find, and I should say alarm clock Brits find so frustrating, Chris, and this is why I wanted you on this morning. Yesterday, finally, the unelected Messiah of Manchester stood up and said to consummate fury from most of us that Labour's plan to stop dinghy migrants is working. This, Chris, despite the fact that 1,000 illegal migrants have still come into this country in the last 9 days since he became Prime Minister.
Je suis un député dans le Parlement du Royaume-Uni. Why have you allowed the migrants into the water? Why haven't you stopped them?
Our order is to let them go like that.
Your order is to let them go?
We just have to say to them, don't do that, it's dangerous.
So your orders are not to intervene?
We have to protect them.
Well, there's also protecting the border as well.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It certainly is. Welcome back or welcome along. Just gone 8 o'clock. What is it? Thursday, the 27th of August. The rain is lashing down in the United Kingdom after months of clear skies and sun that you all moaned and bitched about because it was too hot. It's now raining and it's closed the M4 already to flash floods. Honestly, Great Britain, it's good for the grass. Talking of serious flooding, I mean, there's a terrible, terrible story across every news network and paper today. Britain's amongst 1,000 potentially lost in the Nepal floods. If you think any part of our lives are difficult, some of the pictures and videos coming from Nepal and Tibet are absolutely extraordinary. If you have a story related to that, if you're out in that area, whatever, we would, of course, love to share that. 0344 499 1000. In terms of us here at home, what are you waking up to? Well, I'm going to make this hour Harry and Meghan free, OK? I'm going. I've decided to nail my colours to the mast. No, Angela Levin's being dropped. We're not doing it. Oh, really? I do love Anne. But anyway, I'm going. If you just wait, I'm now throwing my... You know, like the Labour Party leadership, they all went, oh, you know, it could be Angela. And then they all massed behind Andy Burnham. I am massing behind Ian Collins. I think Ian Collins has nailed it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a man who frankly, a superb broadcaster, should have been on Jackanory throughout his career. He's just suave and calm and... Yesterday, did he lose his mind? Have a listen.
Does anybody actually care? Does anybody... Am I the only... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. I do not care at all. Not a gnat's backside, do I? Not at all. I don't care about Meghan and... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. If they walked in this room, I'd say, get out. I don't care about Meghan and Harry. Can I put that any more emphatically? I do not care. I love Angela Levin, but I don't care about Meghan and Harry, all right? It doesn't keep me awake at night. I don't wake up in the morning going, I wonder what Megs is up to. Never, ever does it cross my mind. I don't give a hoot about Meghan and Harry. Also this afternoon, Meghan and Harry have arrived in the... No, we're not going to do that, OK? I promise you. Have we made that clear?
Love him. He's on this afternoon from 1 o'clock, Ian Collins. So, Meghan and Harry free for at least half an hour. What are you talking about when you're waking up this morning? Well, Angela Rayner, to me, sums up what's wrong with so many of our politicians. We have a social housing problem in this country to the degree that people are being bumped off the list for illegal migrants. That is proven today by Edinburgh City Council. We've got the proof. They bump asylum seekers to the top of the council list to the detriment of hard-working Brits, people who genuinely need it. As Reform said earlier in the week, married couples trying to get a home. I don't know, veterans. But no, Edinburgh is the first example. Only yesterday, the newly promoted housing secretary, who only got a job back having not paid stamp duty, had this to say to the British people.
The idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
A blatant lie, as is, I love this, not overnight. This is not the ECHR, a bunch of left-wing judges allowing anybody to say this is the Equality and Human Rights Commission, ladies and gentlemen. A quango based here that you, the taxpayer, paying for. Their boss came out yesterday and said, I think you lot need to give more money to migrants. They're really struggling. Is he absolutely tone bloody deaf? The world's gone mad. And then, here's the... I mean, it's the end of an era. Apparently the landline telephone is no more, which got us into a huge debate about what you do that's old-fashioned. We'd love to still hear from you, polish your shoes, open the door for a woman, unless she smacks you in the mouth. 87222. But Christian, because he's a creative genius, the executive producer of this show, is sat through the glass munching on a vegan sausage. I think he's chained. Anyway, he says, give us a call on your landline, if you'd like to talk, because it might be very soon you won't be able to. Clever. What are you looking at? 0344 499 1000. Why have you... You've never had a Greggs? No, there's a lady that's producing the next show, Alicia. She's fantastic, right? And she and I would never had a Greggs. Honestly, Christian. The thing is, Christian's wife gives him couscous every morning in a little Tupperware. It's not that he doesn't eat it, sells it. He doesn't, gives it away. And he's eating sausage rolls. I'm just saying, Sandra. I mean, why are you wasting your time? Anyway, there we go. Let's say good very much. No, actually, no. Let's have a go at Rayner. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Jez. This is Phil. I can say, as I work in social housing, I have seen the migrants in social housing that they have been given because I've worked in them, many of them.
What do you say to that, Angela Rayner? And what do you say to that, I'm going to say the poster boy of the Tory party? He might be on holiday, but he's still the deputy chairman and basically in charge of almost every department next to his flat. Good morning, Matty Vickers is back. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Good morning. Were you saying Christian's never had a Greggs? He's never lived.
No, I've never had a Greggs.
You've never had a Greggs?
No, and I don't want to have a Greggs. Either.
To operate on. I'll bring you a sausage roll.
I don't want. Alicia and I.
We'll never look back.
Alicia and I are never going to eat Greggs, OK? No, don't tell me. Do you do that to try and maintain your roots in the constituency? Do you walk around with a Greggs bag going, vote for me, I'm one of you, Ebar gum?
It's great grub. And actually, I probably eat more of it when I'm down there than I do up here.
What's your favourite taking from Greggs?
Well, I'm a big sausage roll muncher. The chicken rolls, they're a bit weird, aren't they? I haven't quite got my head around them, but there's something about them. But the highlight of everybody's year is when the festive bake is released around late October, early November.
A festive bake? What's a festive bake?
It's good. It's got cranberries in it. It's got a little bit of stuff in it. It's absolutely beautiful.
I'll tell you what it has got in it. Thousands of calories and the desire to ruin your body. Matty, honestly, appreciate you being on. There is, again, a couple of things that are causing a right furore this morning. You saw the clip. Housing Secretary Angela Rayner, newly back in her role, having maybe or maybe not settled her stamp duty. She says she has. She said yesterday, you saw the clip, that it is false to claim that foreign nationals are taking up social housing to the detriment of people in this country. But Edinburgh Council this morning, we have proof that that Labour-run council is indeed bumping asylum seekers to the top of the list to the detriment of British hard-working people, men and women. She's a liar, mate. That's not true, is it?
Well, it's just entirely and utterly appalling that anybody who comes into the country, who breaks into the country, who enters illegally, should get to the top of the list ahead of people who've lived here all their lives, who've paid in, whose parents have paid in, who've worked jolly well hard and funded all this. It's just entirely unacceptable. But it also tells you why these people break into this country illegally from France. They travel through other safe countries to get into this country because, unlike the human rights chief you've just been talking about, says we are way too generous, we give away way too much. It is a pull factor. It enforces the idea that come here and have a life for free. It's wrong. We need to get to the end of that. If you come into this country illegally, if you break in, you need detaining, you need deporting. No ifs, no buts.
Did you see, you've been on holiday, but you've been pounding the streets, no doubt. Did you see our amazing piece of work, our world exclusive that Isabel Oakeshott and Christian Drogan launched? It's on our YouTube channel now, Invading Britain, the Undercover Migrant. Have you seen it yet, Matty?
I haven't watched it in full. I've seen the headlines. I've seen the clips. It's something else, though, isn't it? It's something else.
I mean, the worst part from that, apart from how detailed the gangs are, right, and I would say this to any Tory who thinks and hopes to get back into power, the fact we're giving the French £500 million, and the most shocking bit about the footage, which you might not have picked up on in clips, right, give it a watch, you should do, is that when he eventually, after 14 months and several slashings and all that, got on a boat and they were a mile out, they're approached by, in effect, the French police, the Coast Guard, who say, it's very dangerous, right? So are any of you feeling seasick and want to get off? And 4 people always get off, and they turn out to be the bloody smugglers, who the French police take straight back to the shore, free to run off into the woods and do it again. I have no idea why we're paying the French. I have no idea why politicians like Rayner can't absolutely accept the factual evidence in front of their eyes. I mean, let me ask a Tory. I said this to Nigel Farage and he said yes. Is it an invasion, Matt Vickers?
It is an invasion. We've got thousands of people entering the country illegally. It is a national emergency. It is a disaster. It's costing people a fortune. Our public services are under pressure. Our public finances are under pressure. When we talk about housing, I'm out there knocking on doors, talking to people who are working their backsides off, paying their tuition fees, taking on a job, grafting away and cannot get their foot on that housing ladder. That is not the way that this country can work. Paying record levels of tax. Where is it all going? It's all going on welfare. It's going on caring for people who've broken into this country. Despite those record levels of tax, I keep saying it, there's police on our street, there's teachers in our schools, there's prisoners in our prisons. People are not getting value from the money from the system. People who work hard and do the right thing.
It's really interesting. Do you remember we've had many debates about how, you know, Angela Rayner says that, you know, illegal migrants aren't putting pressure on the social housing system, which is complete rubbish. There's no doubt the average illegal migrant is not only putting pressure on the housing situation, but also the financial situation, the benefits. Pat McFadden, who seems to be one of those few politicians who just sort of disappears and maintains his job under the radar, he said overnight, our benefits system is broken and is totally flawed. That's the first time I've heard a Labour politician admit what all of us know, which is that the system is such a pull, and a lot of people don't like me for saying this. I think it's one of the reasons people come to this country, because we lay out the red carpet, again to the detriment of our own people. And I also think it's flawed because there are, if we finally can have the honest approach, feckless people who've decided that it's easier to be on the dole than actually graft like people listening and watching this show. So Pat McFadden's right. I wonder if you asked Pat McFadden today whether the social housing situation is fuelled by too many migrants. Why do you think Labour refused to accept what everybody can see, mate?
Well, you remember the bit that Pat McFadden said that he wasn't meant to say. The fact that he goes to all of these meetings with Labour MPs who ask how we can tax people more to pay out more in benefits to others. That is fundamentally what's wrong with this country. Those people who are working hard, doing the right thing, the people who set up that small business, who create them jobs, who give people opportunities, are being taxed so hard, whether it be the business rates, whether it be the increase in national insurance, that they cannot afford to do it. They cannot afford to give that young person opportunity. That's why there's 19% more people unemployed in this country in just 2 years of a Labour government. That is why there's more than 1 million young people not in education, employment or training. That is fundamentally a government and a system that is broken. If people can't get on in life, if people can't work hard, do the right thing and have rewards for that, what is the point? More and more people keep joining that dole queue. And it's clogging up. People who are in genuine need, who need help and support, actually join a huge queue behind others who place masses and masses of pressure on that system.
And that's my thing that I always want to say, because when everyone starts to debate about how, you know, the benefit system is flawed, immediately and they do it on the show, immediately the genuine people go, well, this is outrageous that you're going to change that. How am I going to do it? And I always want to say to those people, the people that are taking advantage of a system and costing it money in essence are taking the money away from the genuine people. And I was going to ask you this, it probably sounds silly, but where does it end, mate? Because would you agree in your constituency in Stockton that more people are switched on because of the issues and the problems that they're suffering from, and so their eyes are you know, through social media, other non-mainstream news channels, telling the truth rather than lying? Do you think your constituents are more aware of the problems in the country than ever before?
I think they are. I think when the thing doesn't work, people actually don't want anything to do with government. They want government to get out of the way, let them get on with their lives and live their lives happily. When it doesn't work, as it's not working now, when people can't run businesses, get on with life, get a job, and have the basics of life, they start looking at why it's broken and what's wrong. Interestingly, you were talking about media coverage. Last week, you'd have seen that story about the number of interventions by French authorities. So these are figures that the government's come up with, the Home Office, about how many times the French have intervened to stop migrants crossing the Channel. So we've given them nearly £500 million, the French. The number of intervention, even by the Home Office's own standards, the number of interventions in the year to August the year before, 25, and this year's half. There were less than half of the interventions to stop, and that's by their own counting. They're throwing money at something, its effectiveness is halved, yet we're still throwing money at it. It's like, it's the definition of stupidity to keep throwing money at something that just doesn't work.
Couldn't agree more. Listen, it's great. When are you finally back? You've been on holiday forever, man. When you
back next week? Yes, I'm back next week. I'm coming back to work. I'm doing real work. I'm meeting real people.
Are you back on this show next week?
I think so, yeah.
You're coming on your horse and cart from north back to Smoke. Is that what you're doing?
I'm bringing you a sausage roll. If you're lucky, I'll bring you a yum yum as well.
Good man. Listen, great to have you on. He's a true Tory and he cares and he's always on the show and we love him. Matt Vickers, thank you so much indeed. Deputy Chairman of the Tory Party, 8:20. We're live across the United Kingdom. You're waking up to... There's a horrible, horrible story. You'll have heard about it by now. They reckon this will go into the thousands. Britons, along with others, lost in the Nepal and Tibet flooding. Some of the footage is utterly, utterly horrific and the world will react and do its bit. Interesting voice note from Jay. Good morning, Jay.
Peter, I echo what Peter said about the people of Nepal. I just want to point out, good luck to them all. If my taxpayers' money, if the country weren't $3 trillion in debt, was going out to help people like this, not these silly hotels and people that don't give a damn about us. You know, these Napoleon soldiers that fight for the United Kingdom, that, you know, one of our regiments will die for our children, our grandparents, our aunties, our uncles, us. You know, some of them never even been to the UK until they went military training. That is money well spent.
There's two big pull factors. One is that they speak the English language, you know, because we spent a couple of centuries going around the world colonising it and teaching everyone our language.
There's the reason that the Labour Party will forever allow people to come to this country.
They've got a network of people that speak our language, and the other is that there is a black economy.
Sam, you're not telling me a majority of migrants who come to this country can speak English, are you?
A lot of them come because they feel they can work better in the English language than they can in many other European languages.
Explain to me then why they don't bring their wives and children.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:23. It's Thursday morning, 27th of August. We're live across the UK. It's Talk Breakfast, the home, of course, of common sense and the home of you, the alarm clock Brett. So many people trying to get involved. We will read your messages out. I love the fact Ben's in Surrey. He's gone, Jez, I'm currently sat in the garden in the rain with my cats listening to the show. My dad always taught me to the value of a firm handshake, so I'm always wary if anyone offers a floppy one. So you should be. I always stop when a hearse passes and walk on the outside of the pavement when I'm with a lady. Have a great time in Spain. Ben's just talking about everything we're talking about. If you are waking up this morning, there's the disaster in Nepal. We'll touch upon that. There's the Equality and Human Rights Commission saying we should give more money to migrants. Brilliant. There's Angela Rayner saying, no, there's not. There's no houses. It's not because foreigners are coming in. It's because we need to build more. Although Edinburgh Council have been outed this morning as a council that absolutely puts illegal migrants at the top of their list. Harry and Meghan, I know. Oh, no, we're not talking about it. No. They might be back, we're not talking about it. It's banned. We're not talking about it. And old-fashioned values. Landlines are apparently going to be abolished. We have asked you to call from a landline. We'll be doing that later. If you've got a landline, call us, 0344 499 1000. But it's sort of it made us wonder about old-fashioned values, opening the door for a lady, polishing your shoes, sitting up straight at the table. Please and thank you. Some extraordinary ones. Loads of people who actually think that those are values. We'll do more of them later. Right now, though, Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. Is she standing in the rain? Helen Whately, good morning.
Good morning. No, I'm not in the rain this morning. You actually see me in my office at home.
I was worried. You're a dedicated lady, and I thought she's going to be stood there on that very brown grass in Westminster with an umbrella. How are you?
Well, do you know what, though? It does mean I get to see you, because if I'm standing outside Westminster, you just get to see you're staring down the lens of the camera and you don't get to see who you're talking to. So
what, with that idiot behind with the board saying EU or whatever and needs to go and get a job? Helen, I know this is a different way to start it, but I know that you're an honest lady. Old-fashioned values. This started this morning because apparently the landline might be consigned to the dustbin of history very soon, and I was talking about how values seem to have changed. I was in a lift the other day, some months ago actually, and with a woman, 17th floor to first, doors open, and I say, after you, and she says, why? Because I'm a woman, and stalks off. Do you believe in old-fashioned values still?
Yes. Well, if somebody offers me to, go through the door first or open it for me, I'm not going to turn my nose up at that.
I think it's decent, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with that. I like it. Can I ask your opinion first on this story? It's such an appalling story from Nepal. Britons amongst thousands, they believe, that will be lost. Nepal and Tibet, this sudden flood yesterday. Appalling. And I just had a voice note from somebody I thought was really interesting, who said that we seem to give money to foreign aid and seem to give money to ridiculous things, and we seem to be favouring anybody but our own. But that would be the sort of thing that all countries would want to help towards.
Yeah, I heard you just replaying that a moment ago. Actually, it was a really powerful message that you read out. And the very good point made there is a very long-standing relationship that we have with Nepal and with Gurkhas coming in being part of our armed forces. It's a really strong relationship between our countries. So, of course, particularly if we have the expertise to help with this horrific disaster, then we should do that.
Completely agree. I'll try and be as calm as possible. You are, of course, the Shadow Secretary for State for Work and Pensions, and the man that you shadow is Pat McFadden. Pat McFadden, who's making a career, it seems, out of speaking the truth. Some months ago, he said that all he is surrounded by with Labour colleagues are people saying, who can we tax more? This morning, we find that he finally admits that Britain's benefit system is broken and flawed, Helen Whately. Who knew?
Well, yes, it's about time. And as for that message, which he had sent to Peter Mandelson, he never planned for it to be in the public domain, but it is the one time where we've seen a Labour MP actually speaking the truth about some of their colleagues, because this is a real problem, the problem that Keir Starmer faced and the problem that now Andy Burnham faces, that whatever he wants to do, he's still got all those Labour MPs behind him. And what they really want to do is put up taxes and spend more on welfare. That is the Labour way. It is more taxes and more welfare.
It's really interesting for me. There was a figure, I think we talked about it before. It was a couple of months ago, and it was one of those moments where you go, oh my God, that the benefits bill in this country now outstrips the money that the Exchequer gets from people working, which sends the most appalling message. And of course, you know, people would rightly point to immigration. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think it's also fair to have a debate about the fact, and people don't like this, that, you know, a system that was set up to help the needy, and I am more than happy. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's one of the greatest ideas ever. But we have to accept as a society, and politicians surely have to accept that there are feckless people who are taking advantage of that system. And this, I can fill out a form online to say I've got anxiety and get paid to do nothing free. It doesn't wash with me anymore. And I get the feeling in the country that that's a gathering feeling, that people, you know, hard-working Brits, Helen, have had enough, really, and they want change.
Definitely. I have a lot of conversations like this with people who are really frustrated. They're working as hard as they can. They're struggling to pay the bills. Their taxes have gone up. And they see people and they know people who are claiming benefits, particularly the sickness benefit system. And this is where we've seen this PIP system, the number of claims going up and up and up. So we've got millions of people now claiming sickness benefits, particularly this rise in claims for low-level mental health problems, anxiety and ADHD. And I'm not saying that people aren't facing challenges, but it doesn't mean that they should be getting cash from taxpayers. What we've said is that we should stop giving out cash to people in those situations and actually just support people to get into work, to make more of their lives, be earning their own income, paying their own way. That's what our welfare system should be about, backing people to work, not just handing out money. It's got out of control and frankly we can't afford it.
I think it was Reform the other day. I had Ian Duncan-Smith, who of course was the Work and Pension Secretary under Cameron, I think, or maybe later, and he actually made real change across 2 years because, you know, there's this ludicrous scenario still, isn't there, where you don't even have to have a face-to-face interview. And I don't care whether it's Reform or the Tories or whoever. Surely that's an absolute given. You're going to have to sit in front of us and not just fill out a form and tick a couple of boxes, because I just think the message that sends, and you're right about those people as well. I mean, I've always believed that if you are searching and you're long-term, you should be giving something back with community service, doing something for the community, because more than anything, that gets you out of bed, gets something on the CV and motivates you, doesn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, for most people, and particularly there's loads of evidence around this of people struggling with their mental health. Much better to be getting up and going to work than sitting at home alone. And that's what the system is doing at the moment, is just consigning people to benefits and giving them no structure, no support, no way out of that situation, just writing them off. On the point you made about the face-to-face assessments, definitely, assessments should be face-to-face, in person. It's one thing in the pandemic, but now that's over, so people should be seen in person and have a proper discussion. And actually, the government should be looking at the evidence about what is wrong with people as well, and bringing in medical evidence, not just taking people's word for it when they're filling in a form. Because, you know, we want there to be a welfare system with a safety net and support for people who are seriously disabled. Everyone I speak to says, yes, of course, we care about people who are seriously disabled. We don't want people to be living in desperate poverty in that situation. But we do know, and there's lots of examples on this online, that you can let this sickfluencers, people telling you how to literally game the system. That has become too easy and it's wrong. It's not fair on taxpayers. It's not fair on those who actually do desperately need help. This needs fixing. And the government is just dragging their feet. They've said they would do something about face-to-face assessments, but they haven't made any material progress at all.
I think it's really interesting. You've got a couple more minutes, or are you being waved at to rush? Because I just was going to say that Starmer, of course, I mean, he tried to knock the most measly amount of a £330 million bill of £5 billion, didn't he? And the Labour Party went into complete and utter turmoil. They boiled over, and he nearly lost his job at that point over that. It needs to be looked at, and we need a government that takes its hat off and doesn't say, you know, they're still stuck, aren't they, Labour, and we care about people. Well, you can care about people, but you need to stop wiping their backsides, because the lazy will take advantage, won't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's simply not kind. It's not compassionate thing to just write people off onto welfare. It might seem an easy answer to just give people cash, but it's not the right answer. The right answer has to be backing people, supporting people, helping them get into work. I have to say, on the other side of this, you've got to make sure that the jobs are there for people, and that's another terribly damaging thing that the government has done. On the one hand, they're letting welfare completely be out of control and not sorting that, but on the other hand, they are literally destroying jobs. So there are tens of thousands fewer vacancies and fewer job opportunities since we've had this government. They put up taxes on businesses, they put up red tape, so businesses have stopped hiring. And this is a disaster, particularly for young people and all those people who otherwise could be off benefits and in work.
Can I ask you one more question, or have you got to go?
You can ask me one more question.
I much prefer seeing you. It's great. I love it. Angela Rayner, by many people's accounts, quite lucky to be back in government after the stamp duty fiasco, but she's back, right? Literally. Have you seen the clip of what she said about social housing? You seen this?
Are you about to show it?
Watch this. It's only 10 seconds. I mean, this is a blatant lie. Have a watch.
The idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
Helen, unless I'm missing the point, if you allow people in their thousands to come in illegally and have social housing, because Edinburgh Council this morning, Labour Run, have admitted that they prioritise illegal migrants and they go to the top of the list, then you'll have... She's lying to the British people, isn't she? That is a fact.
She's just wrong. So one of our policies, we've said that we will no longer let people who are foreign nationals be living in social housing. It's a limited resource. It should be there as a safety net for British people who are really struggling or need help. For instance, actually, if you need a home to also to get into work. So that's what social housing should be for British people. And if you did that policy, that would free up 230,000 homes, which people are currently in the waiting list, British people on the waiting list, could move into. So actually, that's the best and the quickest way to tackle the shortage of social housing. It's not to tax people more and ask people to spend more of their money on social housing to build more. The answer is to free up those hundreds of thousands of homes that are currently being lived in by foreign households.
Couldn't agree more. Listen, when are you going to come into the studio?
Well, I will be back in Westminster next week when Parliament's sitting again. So I'll be delighted to come by into your studio if you invite me over, yeah.
You're always invited. We'll get that sorted. And thank God all of you are back, because finally Andy Pandy's going to have to answer some questions about all the sweets he's been giving out over the last 6 weeks, isn't he?
Well, there is that. I mean, he's been making huge numbers of spending commitments with very limited scrutiny, because there's only so much you can do when Parliament isn't sitting. So I'm expecting on Tuesday he's going to be given a grilling by Kemi Badenoch.
Looking forward to it. Helen Waitley, Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. Please come in very soon. Great to have you on. 0344 499 1000, 25 to 9. This is great. I'm a 51-year-old disabled lady, says Linda, and I always say please and thank you. I try to hold the door open for the elderly, even though it's causing me pain, as I was raised, Jezza, properly. And I always say also have a good day to many people these days who are just goddamn rude and they don't have respect for their elders. Adam on old-fashioned values, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. Just a quick one about morals. My old man always said to me, you know what, there's two things you can do in life that will take you a long way. Look clean and tidy and use your manners for anything and everything, and respect your elders. And just out of another one, Jez, you know, when you get on the bus or the train and you see elderly people or people, you know, families, just stand up and give your seat away, you know, little things like that. Things of gratitude go a long way. Anyway, mate, great show as always. Keep up the good fight.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 22 minutes to 9. I've been told off by Christian because I was supposed to go to Dennis, who's been holding on since the beginning of time in Nottingham. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning, or is it good afternoon with waiting?
All right, listen, you can drop your attitude as well. Honestly, Christian just sits there munching on a vegan sausage roll, dreaming of going to the leisure centre in Wales later on today, and has a go at me. I do apologise. I'm trying to do a million things. What do you want, anyway?
Well, you asked me to ring on my landline.
I didn't ask. Oh, I did. Yes, you're right. Sometimes I'm joking. You've got a landline still? 3.
One in with the lounge, one upstairs, and one in another...
Yeah, but hold on a minute. Right, hold on a minute. It's not 3 different numbers. Today I'm going to phone Dennis on his upstairs landline. You've got one number and 3 phones, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes. And
I do have a mobile.
What?
But my wife is disabled.
Right.
I have a mobile, but it's only used when I go out with the mobile, but I don't use it like dummies when people are in Tesco's or any other supermarket on the phone and bump into you with barrows and trolleys and things like that.
Brilliant. So you don't use it in supermarkets because you might get bashed by a person in Tesco's with a barrow. Serious question. What does it mean to you that the government might ban landlines? I presume with your wife that could be difficult, right?
It's going to be very difficult, my friend, because my wife cannot speak on a phone and that. She has dementia, and she is 98 years of age.
Your wife is 98?
Yep.
How old are you?
I'm a little bit younger. I'm 87.
Toy boy.
Well, I married her for her money, and that's why she's still alive. I haven't found it yet.
Oh, bless you. Well, listen, and on a serious note, my parents both had dementia, and it's a horrible, horrible disease. And I do think, on a serious note, we've been talking about this morning about old-fashioned values. I do think this government needs to be very careful when it makes decisions because there are many, many people that will be affected. We really appreciate you listening. You like Talk, do you? Because it talks common sense, right?
Well, I wouldn't have it on any other programme in the morning because I don't have time during the day with Betty, but I'm saying I like it in the morning, get a bit of a respite, have a cup of tea, and then I do all the in jobs before Madam gets up.
You're an amazing man, and I mean that. My respect to you and most definitely to your wife, and we really, really appreciate you. And sorry for holding on so long, Dennis. I feel terrible now. It was actually Christian's fault. He forgot. I didn't. I'm joking. Dennis, top man, give my love to your wife. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Now I've got a situation where people are ringing me whilst... My children are now ringing me whilst... Oh, no, it says suspected spam. I think I'm beginning to lose the plot this morning, don't you? I'm joking. Listen... Everybody says that we should talk about Harry and Meghan. Everybody's obsessed with Harry and Meghan. I'm going to have to speak to Angela Levin, but before I do, and it's not, I like speaking to Angela Levin, I want to play her what the world's best broadcaster said yesterday about any more coverage about Harry and Meghan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Housewife's Choice. He calls himself Ian the Collins. Have a listen.
Does anybody actually care? Does anybody... Am I the only... I do not care about Meghan and Harry. I do not care at all. Not a gnat's backside do I care. Not at all. I don't care about Meghan and Harry. I do not care about Meghan and Harry. If they walked in this room, I'd say, get out. I don't care about Meghan and Harry. Can I put that any more emphatically? I do not care. I love Angela Levin, but I don't care about Meghan and Harry, all right? It doesn't keep me awake at night. I don't wake up in the morning going, I wonder what Megs is up to. Never, ever does it cross my mind. I don't give a hoot about Meghan and Harry. Also this afternoon, Meghan and Harry have arrived in the... No, we're not going to do that, OK? I promise you. Have we made that clear?
So, Angela Levin, he doesn't want to talk about Harry and Meghan, but he loves Angela Levin.
Like
Good morning.
He does like me. Good morning. Thank you.
See, now you've gone all flighty. What is it that Collins has got that I haven't? You've gone all like, oh, he does like me. What's going on here?
No, that's just a joke.
Oh.
I just think it fascinates me. I really like it because I like following the trail. I followed Harry for a very, very long time, since 2015, and to see how he changes and his behaviour fascinates me, because I'm very interested in people. And that's it. And also I care about our king and all the people who are running everything. I know you do too. So I will hear them again, and I find little bits that I want to sort of spoil his day for Harry.
Now listen, I've got a theory which came to me at about 2:30 a.m. this morning when I dragged my sorry backside out of my bed again. We're all sitting here talking about, well, everybody wants to talk about security and non-working royals and how private security can't have weapons and actually, you know, however and whatever they've done, you know, he is, you know, he's fifth in line and the kids are sixth and seventh. Thank you to Lynn Devon for righting me my wrong there of what I said. But the truth is this, right? Is he actually, don't laugh at me, has he actually played a blinder? Has the ginger whinger sussed out that his marriage ain't great, played the I need to go home and my kids need a proper education, got them over here and got them enrolled? We then hear she's going to flip backwards and forwards to California. Is the truth, maybe, Angela Levin, that they are starting to split and this separation is the first step and he knows exactly what he's doing?
I think this whole thing is after stage one. Absolutely right. And if you listen to stage one, you want to get rid of them immediately. Can I just tell you a couple of things that actually make me furious?
Sure.
So they want us, everybody, to give them the tax money so that they can go around. And they want to be called the international family, so they can go anywhere they want, whenever they want. And they want us to pay for that, to have a lovely time. I mean, it is absolutely, probably not even together, but I think that is the most disgusting thing they could say. Actually, one word, international. No, stay here.
But we don't want them here, do we?
No, we don't want them here, but we don't want to pay money where he can travel any part of the world.
What do you say to the argument? Peter Blexley had it earlier. We have to look at all sides. And he said that's all well and good, but he's the king's son. Archie and Lilibet are in line to the throne, and they are a security risk. You can point to his stupidity in talking about how many Taliban he shot when he was or killed when he was a soldier. You can talk about how, you know, he's high profile. But my point is, and I'd love to know what you think, it's this expectation, right, which is so arrogant, that you can slag something and then when you're down on your luck, you can suddenly go to that and say, well, I want to take advantage of that, although I don't like being part of it, I only do when it suits me. That's my issue.
He couldn't take... it's just completely not interested in anybody. It's about him. If when he likes Meghan, it's about the two of them. And that's it. And actually, let me just add to what you just said. His book, Spare, he killed 25 Taliban when he was in Afghanistan. Now, this he knew he should not do that. Somebody very, very, very senior in the dealing with all that sort of stuff told to me that he said to him, you must not mention the numbers. You absolutely must, because you will then be in real trouble. So all this is Harry's self
doing.
Done it for himself. So I don't feel anything about it. I think he's a disgrace in every possible way. And the fact that he tells his father in 3 days when he knows his father's not...
Are you sure the king can't have known before? Because hear me out on this, right? Hear me out. The school thing, the kid, they arrived in a private jet in Birmingham last night, right, which must have been fun dodging the rubbish that's not been collected for 14 years. But they land there and the kids start school, because I know this, because the schools start back next week, right? Are you telling me that that the king or people didn't know that they were sourcing schools or visiting schools or talking about headmasters and teachers and prospectuses? Are you sure? Because I read an article yesterday, you'll laugh, that the king and William are both known for 6 months and a sort of, you know, just get on with our lives.
Somebody says, I don't believe it. But they only had half an hour with the king, and I think it would be very awkward, and it would be with 2 little kids. So he might have had nothing. It's the same thing in a own way, where that he said to the king, he's coming for this day, and then he's not coming for this day, and he's coming back that day, and he's going to come the other day, and he could drive you nuts. So they don't actually listen to what he's doing so much, and he doesn't tell them so much, and then he announces it. They like attention, and they are disgusting.
You think there are a couple of attention-seeking grifters. What do you say to the people, Angela? Genuine comment. We played the Ian Collins thing, which is funny, but he loves you, not them. What do you say to the people? And it's a fair criticism. Hold on, Jez. There's people dying tragically in this Nepal flood. There's people in this country who can't afford to pay their bills. There's homeless veterans. There's tax through the roof. And we're still talking about a couple of bloody grifters who think they can swan in and out of this country and demand what they demand when it suits them.
Yeah, I agree in theory, but not in practice. I mean, how can you know someone who would be so rude, be rude about his elder brother, he'd be rude about his father, he'd be rude about England altogether, and he's now arrived and thinks he's got to be offered everything he possibly wants. So, you know, you're absolutely astonished by it, and you just need to know more about it, because what a disgusting man and what a disgusting woman, and that's what you want. And
can you ever, if he showed contrition and you're a royalist, can you ever see yourself forgiving Prince Harry? We're not even talking about Meghan Markle. Can you see yourself forgiving her? Him?
No, never.
So there's nothing he can do?
He knew with his book that he was ruining it. He was describing his brother's body, which is disgusting. He was saying comments of what he thought, you know, disgusting. And I would never have anything to do with him again. He wouldn't want anything to do with me because I've been so naughty about him, very rude. But I did like him very much, and now I loathe him. I loathe him.
Do you?
I think, how can a person do that to their father, who has been very ill, and boost up the nastiness of it all? It's completely unnecessary, and everybody's running around because they don't know where he is, what he's doing, all this. I think people have to behave themselves. You know, he's a prince who's had lots of attention, and he should know how to behave. His mother, Diana, would be absolutely furious.
Do you ever stop and wonder I mean, obviously we can't, but do you ever stop and wonder, as somebody close to the royals in the past, that what she would have made of this? Because of course hers and Charles's, you know, my old man was about at the time, and nobody knows the nth of what went on there, and everybody felt sorry for Diana, and he was pilloried and all those sorts of things, and that can't have been easy being brought up in. But before all the people who say that about Harry, it happened to William as well, and look how he's turned out, so that's no bloody excuse. Do you think that she would have... You see, you're going to hate what I'm going to say. I think she'd have taken William's side. I think she'd have gone absolutely nuts at Harry. I think she'd have sussed out Meghan Markle in a heartbeat, Diana.
Yes, she wouldn't have let her have anything to do with Harry. Absolutely not. She was good at seeing people. I went once with her for an evening, and she was brilliant, very clever, quick thinking, mind working very well. And she can see with people what goes wrong, and she wouldn't have anything about it. She took Harry to see people who were, you know, could say what's wrong with him. And this is still going on.
Did she? What did she do?
Yes, she took him to doctors who could help her, because she said he was so naughty and so difficult. 2 different people she took him to.
So you
No,
believe that he's always had a behavioural issue, and she did something about that?
Yes, she did. But she loved him, and he was full of energy, and William wasn't quite that. And, you know, you can go into a party and everybody likes you because you're funny and naughty and sticking out your tongue. And William is careful.
Stoic.
But we don't want it now. We don't want that sort of stupid behaviour. We don't want people sticking out their tongue at us or making rude comments. It's not funny anymore. But he doesn't understand that that's no longer wanted.
I love having you on the show. Can I stick my tongue out at you? Now, listen, this morning they announced they were getting rid of landlines, and it got us thinking about old-fashioned values, because I told the story about opening the door in a lift and a woman saying, well, why have you done that, because I'm a woman? You like old-fashioned values, don't you? You like a man to open the door for you, Angela Levin?
Of course I do, yes. I don't necessarily like an old telephone, but I do like people who have good behaviour. And if they push you out the way, I don't like it.
I imagine because you're old-fashioned and you're classy. I always remember the Queen, and also my mother, when it rained, they'd have a headscarf.
I like your mother.
No, yeah. And anyway, she used to wear a headscarf when it was raining, you know, like the Queen did. And
like the Queen, yes.
Do you ever wear a headscarf?
No.
No. And have you ever worn one that's see-through? Because that's quite embarrassing. It's like a poncho for your head. No?
Oh, no.
No. But you're that posh. You have somebody holding the umbrella for you, don't you, man?
Umbrella. No. I hold the umbrella. Oh, I've got a thing put over.
I love you. Can I come and live with you, please? I want to be looked after. Angela Levin, we love you. Thank you so much indeed. Have a great bank holiday weekend. Always on the show. We love her. Angela Levin's great. I want her to be my mum, because mine's dead. Why are you laughing about that? It's not funny, is it? It's a bit harsh. Do you want to push the Sun thing? It's terrible.
90 minutes in 90 seconds. From the Sun.
Let's say good morning to Dan King. Oh, God, it's a Chelsea supporter and correspondent from The Sun. Morning, Dan.
Not supporter, correspondent.
Who do you support, then?
Strictly neutral. No, I can't tell you that either, Jeremy.
What do you mean you can't tell me that? They always tell me that, man. What's the matter with you?
Objectivity, Jeremy.
All right, OK. Dan, Chelsea. Quite an interesting reboot in terms of sells and buys and stuff like that. Looked quite good the other day against Fulham. I just had one feeling overnight. They're playing in the Carabao Cup tonight, like City, both going through transition. They look great going forward, but like all Chelsea teams for the last few years, not so solid at the back. And then I read something this morning, I think it was, to be fair, in The Sun. I think I know. Yeah, Chelsea in talks over Martinez. The goalkeeping situation at Chelsea is a joke. Emi Martinez from Aston Villa, because they're selling everything, aren't they? That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
It does, and it's been funny because Chelsea, as we know, have spent the best part of £1.5 billion on players under these under the current owners, but the only big name goalkeeper they bought is Robert Sanchez.
Yeah.
From Brighton, and it's been clear for at least, well, certainly last season, arguably the season before, that he is not a top-level goalkeeper who is going to win you the Premier League or the Champions League. And they spent all this money on lots of other different players, but they've never really addressed this situation. But what's weird about this is all the way through the summer, we were told Chelsea very happy with their goalkeepers. They were linked with Mike Maignan, the French international goalkeeper from AC Milan. Most recently, they were linked with Diogo Costa, the Portuguese goalkeeper from Porto. And we told no, Chelsea completely happy with their goalkeepers. And then go back to Monday night, where Sanchez, he makes errors even before the first goal, but the first goal, the equaliser for Fulham, was just embarrassing. A top-class goalkeeper should not be letting in anything like that at all. You can argue he's pretty much at fault for the second goal too, and he was very lucky that Fulham didn't grab an equaliser when he charged out of his area and Anthony Robertson clipped the ball wide. It's long overdue, but it is a U-turn, and it does feel like a bit like a panic buy. Now Chelsea have history for this. Back in
does it? Sorry, I haven't got long, but is it a panic buy or is it actually a shift with Alonso now? Because he's bought Jordan Henderson, Danny Welbeck. That's something that Chelsea have never done. The older, experienced voice. I think somebody like Martinez with his personality will bring real gravitas to the dressing room.
I don't doubt that at all. And if you look at the pure statistics as well, he's a better goalkeeper statistically than Sanchez. And yes, at his age, he brings more. I mean, Sanchez himself is relatively old for the Chelsea squad because they've got the youngest squad in the Premier League. But yeah, he brings personality, and he brings history of winning the World Cup. Let's face it, and the Europa League last year. It's just it feels quite strange that everyone's been saying for a long time they need a new goalkeeper, but it's just taken one game, that Fulham game, and they've just torn up what they've been saying the whole summer and gone for a goalkeeper.
Wish we had more time. Everything you need to know in the brilliant Sun Sport about Chelsea, about Man City, about Savio and Spurs are winning a game last night in the Carabao Cup. Dan and your colleagues do such a great job. We don't know who he supports, but we love having him on the show. Dan King, thank you very much indeed. 3 minutes to 9. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk Breakfast is on. Layla Cunningham, talk no. Layla Cunningham, reforms candidate for London Mayor, is on talk. Christian's doing it against me. It's making me feel very uneasy today. He's been a little bit supercilious Basilius. I'm going to have a word with him. I think it's because he's heading back to Wales. He becomes a little bit distant and he's sort of, I don't know, sheep-like almost. Back after 9.
Go to Calais train station?
Yes, train station.
Okay. I was gaping. It was brutal. Come on, come on! Ready, full fast, go on! And they're on the way over to UK.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial arena. Nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because
if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Probably the same age.
Welcome back. Just gone 9 o'clock. We're live. Did you... Layla Cunningham has just been heard on a microphone going, we're probably the same age. Did you hear that? We are not the same age.
Well, I mean, you know,
How old am I?
30?
Wow. 60.
I mean, listen, there's a decade between us. It's not that much.
Thanks very much. Right, listen, just gone 9 o'clock. She wasn't meant to be introduced that quickly, but Layla Cunningham, actually, well, I tell you about what we're talking about, is here, London's mayoral candidate for Reform UK, here to talk about things that are going on and take your calls. If you want to speak to Layla right now, if you're a Londoner or somebody outside, maybe you've got a grievance to reform, maybe you don't understand certain things that they stand for, maybe you want to come on and ask her something. 0344 499 1000. Tommy taking your calls. You can leave us a voice note on the same number and you can text to 87222. If you are just joining us, where have you been? The main news story is a horrible one, this terrible flooding that took place. I mean, it's a flash flood. It's awful. I don't know if you see some of the footage. Nepal and Tibet, they say that many Brits are included in the 1,000+ that could have perished. And actually, I had a really interesting voice note earlier which said that when we sit on stations like this and we talk about the unfairness of 15 billion for foreign aid for ridiculous things in countries that don't need it, that tragedy is, in my mind, exactly what the foreign aid budget should be used for, not pandering to countries and certain, you know, ways of life. I think it's a terrible thing to look at, and we should do everything we can. More migrant outrage today. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, that's not the ECHR, this is the HRRC. This is a quango set up in Britain, paid for by you and I, have come out overnight and delivered the following statement. I know you're hard up and you're paying lots of tax, but you need to give more cash to poor migrants because they're finding it hard. Love your thoughts on that, 0344 499 1000. The fact that the Labour Work and Pension Secretary, Patrick McFadden, I only added the trick because I thought I would, he's finally come out and said what nobody in the Labour Party will admit to is that the benefit system is broken and flawed. Hurrah, I hear you cheer. And Angela, fresh from not paying a stamp duty and being fired, back as the Housing Secretary with a new pair of glasses and a fringe, delivered this statement yesterday about social housing. Can I please just add a caveat? This morning we have discovered with proof that Edinburgh City Council, run by Labour, absolutely 1,000,000% prioritises illegal migrants and puts them straight to the top of the queue for social housing as against hard-working Brits. But this is what our Ange said yesterday.
The idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
Let's say a very good morning to Layla Cunningham. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
If you like, I'm all right. I'm not bad. It's been a week. 0344. What?
Ranting as usual.
Not ranting.
No, I'm
passionate.
I agree.
Calling me ranter now. Honestly,
I agree.
Do you know what really hacks me off? It's rubbish like that from Raina.
And I've got
that is a lie to the people of Great Britain. That is a lie. OK, go to Edinburgh, Angela. Prove to me then. Somebody from Labour call me and tell me that I'm being unfair.
It's not only Edinburgh, by the way. At all.
Where else is it?
So it's in London. I was on the Policy and Scrutiny Committee, where I had the pleasure of scrutinising Labour's policies because I was in opposition. And the cabinet, the person who's in charge of housing, brought out a whole new homeless policy. And, you know, we're going to create homes for the homeless. It's so terrible that we have homeless people. And in that, the end of the document said that we will prioritise people from the LGBTQ+ community. I don't know how you know that someone is sexual preference when you allocate a house. People from what they like to call the global majority, which is quite a passive-aggressive term, and women, obviously. And in brackets, it said they're going to prioritise people from the Middle East, Bangladesh, and they named a few nations. The next page of the report, Jeremy, said 60 to 80% of homeless people in Westminster City Council are white men. I put my hand up and I said, what I'm sure all your viewers are thinking, why are we not prioritising white men? They're obviously the most in need. They're the ones that are mostly homeless. The meeting got shut down. I was called racist. They said they're not going to engage, even though they're going to prioritise people from the Middle East, where my family's from. They said we're not going to engage in Councillor Cunningham's racist rhetoric. I was banned from ever asking a question about that subject by my Conservative chief whip because Labour had threatened to put a complaint about a formal complaint about me being racist. So they are actively...
And you're from the Middle East?
Yeah. So they are actively deprioritising veterans, white men who are homeless on our city. And you know that 15 London boroughs are sanctuary boroughs for refugees. And I know, by the way, so one of my residents in one of the big council estates in my ward, I went to see her once. She's British, and she was crying to me. She's like, I'm a bus driver. She's like, I've been working for 20 years as a bus driver. I cannot afford a holiday, and I don't get any help with my rent because she's just above that threshold.
Yep.
And she says, listen, I'm not racist. I love everyone, but how is it fair that the house next door, they don't speak English, they've just arrived, and they've got a 3-bedroom house because they've got kids?
I don't. You see,
this is London.
Yeah, I mean,
prime location, by the way. This is in West London.
And this is everywhere. And you know, when I have everybody on this show, right, for the distinct reason that it's important we get all sides. I don't understand how any politician, I've been saying it all morning, has the temerity. Actually, I don't even care about the fact here. I don't even care that it's about housing. It could be about anything. We have a succession of politicians in this country who seem to have forgotten that the British people have switched their brains on. And because of post-COVID, don't want to talk about COVID, but because of the cost of living and because of how hard it is for hard-working people to pay a food bill that's suddenly 3 times the cost, to pay petrol and electricity and gas that's all gone through the roof, whilst wages have been stagnated.
Yep.
It's really bloody hard, and that word unfair comes. Reform earlier in the week said that they would prioritise British working families, veterans and married couples for children with children for social housing. That's a direct attack, I guess, on the Labour Party, who are saying we need to... Well, they don't admit to it. You've said that it's proof. How difficult would that be for Reform to implement?
I mean, listen, don't forget, the Conservatives put in the Equalities Act, and the Equalities Act said that you cannot prioritise people for social housing on the basis of nationality. And within that, they included British people. Imagine that. Imagine putting us in with everyone else in terms of priority, and then you had the Localism Act that said the person who's most in need goes to the top of the housing list, and councils across the country have deemed that refugees are the ones that go to the top of the housing list. That's how we have such massive demographic change.
Can I just ask
by the way, can I just say...
Yeah, go on.
How does someone become a refugee? You could be an illegal migrant, claim asylum, right? And when that asylum claim is granted, you're no longer an asylum seeker, you're a refugee. And if people just need to look at the stats, how many asylum claims are actually granted? Massive.
There was a bit of kickback when Zia Yusuf was talking about this because there was an issue with the British-born working class, right? So I absolutely agree. If there's an illegal migrant being put to the top of the list over and above hard-working Brits who are paying tax, veterans who are on the street, single mothers, all that sort of stuff. But what's Reform's answer to, and I asked him this, but still a little bit confused. What's the situation whereby, say I'm married to somebody who wasn't born in England, we don't earn a lot of money, we're both working and we're in social housing, she's going to lose the house?
She's married to you.
So that's a difference.
Yeah.
So we're talking... Right.
And listen, by virtue of being married to you, she could become British.
Are we encouraging... Are your words to encourage people to invest fully in Britain in terms of language and passport and nationality? Is that what...
Absolutely. Listen, if you are going to have access to the British state, if you're going to have access to one of our most scarce public resources paid for by the British taxpayer, and you don't want to become British, then you're not going to have access to it. It's British housing, British social housing for British people. I think that's pretty it should be pretty normal.
Do you understand the concern from people who would say, I wasn't born here forever, but I've worked my backside off and paid tax, and I feel like I could be, persecute is the wrong word, but put in a difficult position if reform have such a blanket approach?
Yeah, I think with the British-born, what we're really trying to deal with is the Boris wave. You know, we have just under 4 million people who are going through the immigration process who will eventually get citizenship, and that puts huge pressures on social housing and all our public, you know, services. And if we don't deal with it, it's going to compound and we'll never get a grip. So it's really mainly dealing with that issue.
Let's go to the phone lines. In Suffolk, Herbie, you're through to Layla Cunningham. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
How can a politician of her making stand up there and say what she said and deny what is actually the truth? We know it for ourselves, what's going on. How can all these people be coming over, being housed in camps and maybe hotels and elsewhere, our next door neighbours that we don't know about? How can she stand there and make a statement like that and deny it? Where is she coming from? Should we trust her? No, we can't.
I hope you're talking about Angela Rayner.
Yeah, they're talking about Angela Rayner.
Yeah. How can she do that, though?
I mean, I feel like they gaslight us a lot. Yeah, I mean, do you remember when they said that they removed 3 million people, or I don't know how many people from the NHS waitlist, but it turned out that they were just paying millions of pounds to physically just remove them from the waitlist, but not increasing operation allocation. In fact, the number of operations provided by the NHS had gone down, as supposedly so did the waitlist. So, yeah, they fiddle the numbers.
Herbie, for me, it's really interesting. There's a sort of common thread through so much, whether it's migration or the benefit system or whatever. You use that phrase, Layla, gaslighting. I'm old-fashioned. I get to the point, Herbie, where I keep saying on this show, do politicians of all sides understand the depth of anger, the depth of unfairness that's a feeling? And I'm not advocating anything, but I would say to all politicians of all sides, be wary of the silent majority in terms of their vote, because it's almost like people are more invested and switched on than ever before, Herbie. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. The thing is, Jeremy, the system's getting worse, the situation's getting worse, and there's nothing being done about it. There's no mention about it. There's no plan to sort it all out. Nothing's been done. All they're doing is putting pressure on the people here that have been working all their lives to get a better standard of living and getting absolutely nothing. We've got a huge increase again yesterday in our energy bills. These people are getting everything for nothing, yet we're working our butt off to pay our bills, and these people are getting everything for nothing. Go to a doctor's, you've got to wait a month. They go to a doctor, they get seen straight away.
Yeah, but you do realise that this makes you far right, don't you, and possibly racist?
I don't care. I'll be extreme right as I possibly can. I want fairness in society, Jeremy. I don't want unfairness. I want it to be equal. I want it to be available to everybody, not just the selective few that the Labour Party want for their votes.
Couldn't agree more. It should be really just available to British people, right? They're the taxpayer, they're the voters. And Herbie, what do you think about that asylum centre in Braintree?
This is Wethersfield.
Wethersfield, where they have a gym, a basketball court. I'd love to have a basketball court.
And 17 minibuses to ferry them anywhere they want, 24 hours a day.
And a snack bar, by the way.
Yeah.
And Labour's expanding it. I mean, you know, it's, like you say, so many people are working so hard, they can't even afford a gym membership themselves. I couldn't afford to hire a basketball court. I'd love to play. So expensive in London. And yet we're told, you know, they look us in the eye and say, there's not enough money, tighten your belt, we're going to increase taxes. For what? What are we getting for the increase?
Layla, that article that Peter Harris put in the Daily Mail the other day, and with you know, the programme you did regarding the immigrant coming over, you know, the reporter that came over, Christian, coming over on a boat, it highlights the truth of what is going on. Wake up, people. Can't you see how much damage has been done to our society, to our system, our way of life, by giving these people everything? When poor pensioners have worked all their life, they take the money away from the pensions and give it to these people who are illegally.
Couldn't agree more, Herbie. Got to move on. Thank you for your support. 0344 499 1000. Layla, from me, very quickly. Invading Britain, the undercover migrant. We launched this on Tuesday. Isabel Oakeshott and Christian Drogan. Have you watched it?
I haven't, I'm sorry.
Honestly,
but I don't need to, I can imagine.
It's just extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
And what was really interesting from it, and the take-up, it's on our YouTube channel now, and it's getting real take-up. I know you've been rushing around. Try and watch it this weekend, because the two things that I got from it was how much the French are taking out of us, literally taking out of us. But I also was, and I mean this, and I want to say this again and again, I was also highly happy that British Border Force came out of it well. And shall I tell you, they remind me a lot of social services. We jump on Border Force and slag them off the whole time. We do that with social workers, quite rightly sometimes, but there are thousands of social workers and patently thousands of Border Force officials who are frustrated to hell by the rules. And I mean, the guy on the thing was like, and he saw a Christian. It's amazing. Give it a watch. And if you haven't watched it, by the way, get on the YouTube channel. Can you please ask Layla Cunningham if she has a strategy to cope with that awful man Khan, who it seems to me never answers questions? That's a good one, Layla.
Oh, he will once I debate him. I mean, that's if he has the guts to stand. But we'll beat Khan. You know, Khan has a bad record. Polling has come out. Londoners have had enough. You know, and what's shocking is that he keeps on pumping tweets and posts about how safe London is. And Jeremy, there is a stabbing almost daily right now in London. Teenage boys being stabbed.
How would you improve that? How would you turn those figures around?
Visible. What do you mean? You need visible policing. You need police stations. I interviewed a woman. I have a great YouTube video as well, a documentary where I interviewed a woman whose son was stabbed to death outside a nightclub. She went to see Sadiq Khan once, and then he said, whatever you want. She sent him 2 emails, follow-up, nothing. Her boy had nothing to do with drugs, nothing to do with gangs, literally wrong, you know. She doesn't like to say wrong place, wrong time, because she's like, the stabber invaded her son's area. And it was literally like, what are you looking at, what are you looking at? And he stabbed him to death. And she got no support, nothing. She's an activist now, and she's a remarkable woman. You know that she bought a car that was narrow enough so she could sleep by him in the cemetery. Wow. And obviously she'll never get him back. And the guy who killed him had a huge rap sheet. But because he was a youth when he got it, he barely got anything for it, which kind of emboldens the youth. He got 2 years reduction in his sentence because he's got ADHD. He got charged with murder but convicted of manslaughter. And she says 2 years, like, after he was in prison, she saw him boasting about it on Snapchat.
Great. Serious question. How are you going to pay for the extra police as a reform mayor you say you're going to put on the streets?
We have 35,000 officers. We don't need more officers. We just need different
Where are
direction.
they all, then?
Well, that's my question. That's why, for me, I've said that the first day I'm in, I'm going to do an audit on every hour that a police officer, where they are. We have technology now, AI, that can automate so much of the paperwork, so much of the stuff that keeps them off the streets, and they want to be on the streets.
I've always believed that policemen and women, if they're on the streets, gather intel from being in the local communities, which leads to things. But then you're going to be dealing with an issue, and the left, who believe, presumably, that people who perpetrate crime should be found excuses by authorities and the victims should be ignored. Let's go to Manchester. Terence, you through to Layla Cunningham. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning.
Good morning.
About the Keir Starmer, I believe he was in front of the select committee. Keir Starmer.
No, I'm joking.
Too early in the morning for a show. About Keir Starmer, he was in front of the select committee a while ago, saying there was plenty of houses with no shortage all over the country. And then when the select committee were all amazed, saying, well, there's none in their constituencies, he said, I'll get back to you. He said, exactly, you know.
I've got the clip for anybody who thinks that the Labour Party says one thing and does the other. Keir Starmer, do you remember him? He was the Prime Minister up to a month ago. He was asked about social housing in front of the Commons Select Committee. This is what he said.
Just a big pinpoint before. What other accommodation precisely are you planning to take over to provide temporary accommodation for families?
Oh, there's lots of housing in many local authorities that can be used, and we're identifying where it can be used. But I mean, look.
Sorry, could you give us? Have you got any examples you can give us?
No, but I'll write in and give you details.
Because I could say certainly in a number of our local authorities, already picking up from around the table, there isn't a lot of spare housing available. If there were, councils would be able to be dealing with it by now.
Well, exactly.
So he's saying there are loads of houses, and then Angela's saying there aren't any houses.
But also we have
and that's a month apart.
We have 1.3 million people on the social housing waiting list. What's he going on about?
I want to ask you something about London. I've never asked you this. Andy Pandy, Pudding and Pie, he made a big thing on day one, which is very emotive, to be fair, when he said, I'm going to end homelessness in Britain. And a lot of people are very cynical. I drive in every day to this city. especially along the embankment at 20 miles an hour, I frankly should walk. It would be quicker. You see so many homeless people. What would a Layla Cunningham mayoralty, is that the right way? What would you do about homeless people?
So just back to Andy, homelessness has increased since 2021 every year in Manchester.
There was an initial drop, wasn't there?
There was an initial drop. And then, you know, as usual, he kind of gave up on it. I've been to a few homeless camps. Yesterday, I actually went to one in East London. And I'll get a video out on it. And they had Deliveroo bikes. They're all migrants. None of them are British. And the first thing the guy told me there, I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm waiting for a council house. And I went to another one in Euston. Again, none of them were British. They were all waiting for universal credit and social housing. And there was another one in Marble Arch. A lot of these people are not British. And if... some are obviously veterans. They, of course, will go to the top of the housing list. Some are drug addiction, you know, and I see women and I speak to them. And we have to get on top of drug addiction because that's what fuels a lot of crime in London and it fuels a lot of homelessness needs. And we don't deal with drug addiction, the connection between drug addiction and criminality, well enough, in my opinion. When I prosecuted a lot of crime, a lot of the people committing the crime, and this is kind of low-level crime, they just do it to feed an addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And they're not actually really criminals, if you know what I mean.
I remember when Samara Gill, our reporter, did some quality work of a group of homeless people. I think it was just off Marble Arch, wasn't it? All migrants.
All migrants.
What would you do? How would you, as the mayor, deal with them?
Well, if that's TfL land, they'll be removed. In fact, as a councillor, I wrote to the Labour MP at the time because it was on Park Lane. You know,
that's right.
That's our showpiece. That's what we show. This is the best of London.
But I mean, I'm not being cynical when I say this. I remember because I lived in Windsor when the wedding of Harry and Meghan was on. There were 5 regular homeless people in Windsor. It sounds ridiculous. And they scraped them up 2 days before their wedding and put them in a local hotel. And 3 days after the wedding, they dumped them back on the streets. What would a reform mayor in London do to rid us of that disgusting and really horrible sight? I get about addiction, I get about migrants, but how do you actually deal with that? It's a scourge, isn't it?
Listen, it's a scourge. It's also very upsetting to see people homeless living on the streets. They really live in squalor. To think that they're living in London, one of the best cities. But as I said, most of the people, I'm not going to say none of them, most of the people I spoke to in the proper tense are not British, number one. So, and that, you know, you reduce illegal migration. If you're an immigrant here, if you're an illegal migrant here, you don't get to stay, especially if you're living homeless on our streets. I'm sorry.
And then there begs the question that if you've got... I don't know the figures, but I suspect there are English... Well, I know there are English people who are homeless in London. There begs the whole question of what Angela Rayner's lying about. Social housing, surely, if those people have fallen on hard times, right, should we not be helping them before we help illegal migrants? We should be, shouldn't we?
Councils have a duty to house them.
Yep.
You know, and obviously if there's not enough space due to other pressures, you know, then they can't. But I think every British person must be housed. But if you're a migrant here who should not be here and you're living in a homeless camp and working for Deliveroo, by the way...
would you do something as London Mayor about those organisations, those huge... I mean, I remember when this story came and The Sun did an extraordinary exclusive about how many illegal migrant men, you know, were in wherever, HMOs, hotels, on the street, and you could see all their bikes lined up. And I remember saying at the time on this show, if I was Keir Starmer, I'd have made sure that the bosses of those companies were frog-marched up Downing Street and were brought to task, but nothing ever gets done.
That's what Zia said, you know, if you hire illegal migrants, you are complicit. You are complicit and you will be prosecuted, and I think that's the right thing to do. They literally had Deliveroo bags in this camp I went to yesterday, and I said, whose bags are these? They're like, oh, it's a friend of mine who drops it off. Obviously not. They had Uber Eats. And where I live, I see, and I hope Deliveroo is listening, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, the deliverers are full balaclava in full heat. It's petrifying. And they just sit around, mill around the high street next to me, and I've got photos. It's petrifying.
So you'd do something about that?
100%. Number one, I'd ban face coverings. We should not have... So, interestingly, I had a drug bust near me, right? And 2 guys in full balaclava were watching the drug bust. And so I went to the police. I'm like, are you not going to question those guys? And the police said no, because it's not illegal to wear a balaclava. And I'm like, it's 30 degrees heat. It should be a reason for stop and search. Why is he hiding his face when it's 30 degrees?
Something needs to change.
Well,
he's
either in the commission of a crime, hiding his identity, or he's an illegal migrant who shouldn't be here.
Completely agree. Reform's UK councillor, London UK councillor is here, Layla Cunningham. What do you want to ask her? Are you from London? Do you want to talk to her widely about reform? 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. This is interesting. Reg says it's that hard to find a police officer in London, Layla. Now I think you'd be better off tagging the coppers instead of the criminals. Then we'll know exactly where they are. Morning, Colin.
Hi, Jeremy. Mark from Manchester. Hear Layla talking there about drug addiction and the problems it's caused. Does nobody realise that drug addicts and alcoholics, they're getting their habits funded by the government by giving them cash every week because they say they're sick? Of course they're sick, but it's not. It's a disease when you've got addiction, but at the end of the day, it's not for us to pay for their habit.
Scariest moment, not that I want to admit it, but where was it? Was it in the middle of the night when somebody was by your tent? What was it that you thought, my God, I'm in trouble here?
To be honest, it was the moment where I'd been stopped. I'm running down to the beach. I'm trying to get to the water. You're so tired, and I get down to the bottom of the dunes. Next thing you know, bang. 6 coppers stopped me and this other lad, and I'm thinking, surely not. Surely not. They'd never stop any of the migrants. How all of a sudden have I run down to the beach and the 6 coppers there?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 9:30, half an hour left to breakfast. 0344 499 1000 if you want to be on. Layla Cunningham, Reform UK's mayoral candidate for London, is here. Are you all right?
Perfect, thank you.
Lots to do. Layla, rehousing. You might want to take a look at Birmingham as well, says Rosalind. It's no better. Let's go to Steve in Bournemouth. Steve, you're through to Layla Cunningham. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks very much for both of you. It's a privilege.
Hi, Steve. My parents went to Bournemouth on their honeymoon, actually, in the 60s.
And they wouldn't go now.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, they wouldn't go now.
No,
I mean, like
my mum has such a soft spot for Bournemouth.
Oh, my God. You know, Steve, that I did that thing with Harry Redknapp the other day, which went viral, because I said, because it's the truth, I took my son, and I live near Bournemouth, I wouldn't let my kids there now, I took my son for his theory test, and I sat there for half an hour outside Pret with the coffee. And let me tell you, and you can call me a liar to my face, but it's not true. Tens of illegal migrants walking up and down, smoking, drinking and leering. It's a fact, Steve, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's the locals don't go onto the beach anymore. I mean, the reason I rung up is because I'm a veteran. I served 18 years for Queen and Country. I was injured on active service and was medically discharged. Do you know, my heart is broken because of what I see now. I'm sick and tired of being called racist. You know, I've been to war numerous times. One of the wars I went to was Bosnia. Now, I saw ethnic cleansing on a scale which was heartbreaking. But these people, when they left their country, when they left their village, they ensured that the women and children went first. They didn't take a single thing with them. They didn't take passports. It wasn't just young men leaving. So why can't they just wake up and realise that these people are here illegally? That should be underlined. That is the thing. Underline the word illegal, right? If I was to come into this country without my passport, I wouldn't be allowed in.
No.
So why are they?
It's a two-tier system.
It is two-tier. I mean, it breaks my heart. You know, I've got a friend of mine. He's been living. I mean, he went for a bit of a hard time coming out with PTSD. But he's been living in his car for 4 months. He's been sofa surfing between different people.
And was he a veteran as well?
Sorry?
Is he a veteran?
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
He's got complex PTSD.
Does he get help from the state?
No, nothing at all.
Unbelievable.
Hardly anything at all. He gets a very, very minimal war pension.
Can I ask you a question, Steve? Because I love... No, it's the wrong word. I'm so grateful. I love the fact that people respond to what we're talking about, because essentially, you know, I patently obviously come from a different planet, or we all do, because wherever I go and whoever I speak to, they come up to me now, not about the Jeremy Kyle, they say, you've got to keep the fight going. I find it utterly deplorable. I think it is a stain on our society, and I've always talked about veterans, that we say to men and women, thank you for donning the uniform. Two things are going to happen to you. We might well prosecute you if you served in Northern Ireland, because actually we've given immunity to the IRA. What the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. And I tell the story where I live on the South Coast, Stevie. Every Saturday I go into town, obviously, because you get told to. And there's a guy, and he's been on the streets for months, and he served 14 years, and he said to me one day, and it's always affected me, you know, I've been thrown out of my place for migrants. But you've got politicians like Raina saying this is not a fact. It is a fact. Our priorities are wrong in this country, and our priorities, and I say this every day, if they don't change, something is going to give. That is not for the left to jump up and down and say, what is Jeremy Kyle talking about? What Jeremy Kyle is talking about, you idiots, is that you haven't sussed out that the British people have got to the end of their tether, haven't they, Steve?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. And you know, it makes me angry, because they're lying, constantly lying. You know, immigration is great for this country, but it's done, it's done legally. We've got amazing surgeons that come over from other countries and help our people. They, you know, cardiac surgeons, cancer surgeons, they pay taxes. I'm sick and tired. There was
so annoyed his line's gone. Hold on. Let's just try and get him back.
Listen, it's heartbreaking the way we treat veterans. It is such an indictment on the previous leadership we've had in this country.
Enrages
that
me.
You hear about this man who served to put his life on the line for us, and he's got complex PTSD. And I know that they don't get.
No, his mate's been surfing and living in a car for 4 months, and he donned a uniform. And when people stand up and they tell me, which they do to my face, you're anti-foreigners. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because he made a point you might have all missed. He said, legal migration has done great things for this nation. And that's maybe where I differ from other parties or other broadcasters or whatever else, because there have been plenty of people. The guy that picks me up at night from Bangladesh, you've heard the story. Our makeup team downstairs who came here from Poland and set up a business and paid tax. These people, Layla Cullingham, are more wound up about illegal migration than I am, because they did it correctly. But the point that Steve made is that we are wiping the back backside of people who shouldn't be here. And when it's to the detriment of people who have fought for us, he's back very quickly. Steve, that was a bad line. Just finish it up, mate. What do you want from your next government? What do you want from your politicians, pal?
I want there to be fairness, right? So immigration is fantastic. As I said, please, we've got some amazing immigrants who have come here legally, and that's the word. Surgeons are helping us, and they're paying their taxes. Please, for the people who have paid their taxes, for the people who are British, get rid of the illegal immigrants. It's a crime. Please don't pay someone to do a crime against our country, because that's what's happening.
Mate, we send our love and respect to everybody in the armed forces, and we appreciate so much you coming on to talk. Steve in Bournemouth, 03... Sorry, go on.
Also, like, I understand Steve's frustration when you see your town.
Yep.
All these men roaming around, and there's no end in sight.
I was shocked by Bournemouth, and I posted it, and it went viral. And everywhere I go now, people say thank you, but the left went nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. What are these poor people? They are not escaping a war-torn country. France is not a war-torn country. And for the 83rd millionth time, I'll say the same thing later I say every day. If I was in that position, you'd bring your wife and kids with you, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Let's go to Paul in Bath. Paul, you through to Layla Cunningham.
Hi, Paul.
That's no good, is it? Let's go to a break and come back and try and get him. You can't... Oh...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Back there again. Don't drink tea as the microphone goes back on. 20 to 10. Alex is here from 10, Ian Collins from 1, and Kevin O'Sullivan, known to his mates as Trevor, is on drive time from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Layla Cunningham, before we go on. Thank you for explaining your position on several things. We've talked about migrant outrage, talked about housing fury. We hear from the government, which might be a good thing, judging by the last call, that they want, not a good thing rather, they want to axe landlines. Which is really quite sad for the older generation, which got me thinking today, what old-fashioned and old-school things do you still do? I talked about opening the door for a woman, about polishing my shoes, about saying please and thank you, table manners, etc.
Is that old-fashioned? That's sad if table manners are old-fashioned. I always drilled into my kids, please and thank you, please and thank you.
It's important, isn't it?
100%. And you know, when I went actually to, I went to Texas.
Y'all have a good time down there, boy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to a waiter, and he goes, ma'am, that's drilled into us from a young age, and I love that.
Kinsey Schofield was on earlier saying that when she first went to California from down south in Idaho, that they all thought she was mad because she'd say, yes, sir, thank you, ma'am. We seem to have lost that respect. I want that back. That's family values, right?
That is fundamental to a civilized country.
Yeah.
Please and thank you is fundamental. I hope I haven't seen that we've lost it that much. You know what they say in America, which drives me mental? If you say thank you, here we say pleasure, or there they go, the drives me mental. I'm like, what does mean exactly?
That's on a par with this, which should be banned. Have a nice day. I might not, you overly enthusiastic idiot. Have a nice day. No! And don't add a percentage to my bill in America without asking me my opinion.
We do that here now.
It drives me...
We do like 15% here now, automatic.
It drives me insane. Is Paul back? Right, Paul, we've only got 2 minutes. Paul in Bath, you're through to Layla. Crack on, son.
Hi, Layla. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi,
Listen, just wanted to... Hello, good morning. I just want to ask you a question. With all the promises that you were looking forward to and the manifesto that stands to put things right in this country after the traders that have seduced us over the years, you stand a chance of not getting an opportunity because of the lack of compatibility between Rupert Lowe and your man Nigel Farage, of which I'm both a fan of both. What is your take on this? Do you think they should get together to stop this dilution of possibility of not getting into power?
Listen, I think Restore voters are, probably most of them are actually Reform voters. And if it's up to Reform to convince them that, we're the party they want. Rupert Lowe made some pretty difficult demands of the party. I'm running for London. There's a huge Jewish community. I would never dream of banning kosher for them. This has been their way of life for hundreds of years. Who am I to tell them how to eat their food? I have so many Jewish friends who are not particularly religious, but there's something about kosher that they follow. And for me, listen, it's at the end of the day, I'm not the leader. Whatever Nigel decides, it's up to him. But I would never want to ban kosher for Jewish people.
It's an opportunity to do the wonderful things you're promising us.
I'm with you, Paul, in that, and I've said this repeatedly, and as Layla says, she's not the leader, but there might well come a point in a year or two, whatever anybody tells you right now, and they're not all going to... Kevin Badenoch's going to say, I'm going to get into bed with Nigel Farage right now. Don't be ridiculous. Rupert Lowe might disappear off the face of the earth, or he might go... The point is this. Everybody, I bang all their heads together. If in 2 years there are three parties... Well, the Tories and Reform are... 25, 26, and Restore's got 7 or 8. Let me tell you, the thought of another 5 years of this to a majority of people who are into common sense, something will give. But, well, not unfortunately, that's like anything. You don't show your hand right now. That would be my take.
The coalition is for the voters. It's for us to convince the voters that we are better than Conservatives and better than Restore. I don't, that's how I feel a democracy should work. We should make the argument so strong that those that want to vote for Restore or that want to vote for Conservatives prefer us. It's not up to us to
I think the answer, Paul, my friend, and we appreciate your call, is we're all going to have to wait and see. Can I just, before I let you go, and say thank you very much indeed, Layla Cunningham. What would Harry and Meghan have arrived?
Joy.
Would you like to give a welcome message on behalf of London to them?
Are they staying in London? I don't think they're living in London.
You don't care about Harry and Meghan, do you?
No, listen, they're a private individual now.
So you wouldn't, if you were in government, agree to pay for their security?
No, because I'll never accept the way Meghan somehow made out that we're a racist country and that we treated her badly. We welcomed her with open arms. We were so excited for her to come, and there was no thanks.
Couldn't agree more. Am I going to an ad break? 0344 419 1000. Text to 87222. Sean, good morning. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here again, mate. I'm with Ian Collins on this one. I couldn't give two poos about these two people. I really, really couldn't. And when I've had to listen to it on the radio, because there's been a lot of talk about it, they've been on quite a bit, it's like noise pollution that hurts my lug holes, mate.
go to Calais train station?
Yes, train station.
Okay. I was gripping. It was brutal. Come on, guys! Ready, full touch, go on! And they're on the way over to UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. 10 minutes to 10. Let's say a very good morning to the head of comms at Popular Conservatism to finish us off for Thursday. Annunziata Rees-Mogg, good morning. How are you?
Very well. How are you, Jeremy?
Save the best to last, they told me. I'm all right. We're heading off. I'm going to a Spanish wedding. Christian's going to visit his relatives, 3 sheep in Wales, and Tom is doing something else. I've no idea. Welcome to the show. I want to just talk about the 2 things that have infuriated people today. Overnight, I learned something today, Annunziata. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, which is the EHRC, is in fact obviously different from the European Court of Human Rights. It's full of left-wing human rights judges that find the most ridiculous excuses. But this bunch of idiots, the EHRC, one of their leaders overnight has sparked even more unrest by saying to all these hard-up Brits, we need to give more money to migrants. They're having a really hard time. It's unreal, isn't it?
They might slip into relative poverty. Oh, dear. They've come here for the good life and perhaps they're not always getting it. I think the real problem is that our government's outsourcing so many decisions to quangos over whom we have no democratic control.
I agree with you. Labour is famous for quangos and kicking the can down the road and allowing a bunch of highly paid people to come back with decisions that make no sense to anybody.
Tony Blair absolutely exploded the idea of quangos, and it's been continued. We, as voters, can't change what quangos think. They are a law unto themselves. There is no answerability, there is no accountability, and they come up with crackpot ideas such as this, that the British people do not support and do not want. We know that we are much too attractive to migrants. That's why we've got such a big illegal immigration problem. And here they go saying, let's give them more.
I mean, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, you've got Pat McFadden, the Work and Pension Secretary, overnight, who tends to speak the truth. I'm quite surprised he hasn't been sacked before, really. He finally admits that our benefit system is broken and flawed and benefits people that it shouldn't benefit, which we've been saying on this station and your organisation, Popular Conservatism, and others for years, that we're not all far-right thugs. We're talking about fairness here. We're talking about reality. We're talking about, you know, not giving to people who don't deserve it. There was that story yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, about that migrant camp in Essex, Wethersfield. The excellent Peter Harris, the reform leader of Essex Council, did this undercover job. Hey, Jesus, if you were a hard-working Brit, like so many people who listen and watch this, you'd just think, I'm being laughed at by my own government, really.
I mean, I live near Skegness, and, you know, how much does it cost on a bank holiday weekend to go to Butlins? More than the rest of the year. And yet we hand what seems like a holiday camp out to people who should not be in our country, who have no right to be in our country. We are a soft touch and we're much too generous. People should arrive illegally and be deported.
Well, you see, this is where I disagree with so many, and I'd never disagree with you out of anything other than spirit. But I think half the issue here, and how many politicians have got their knickers in a twist, is this whole thing about once you arrive, you should be deported. And this whole thing about human rights and your feet are on British soil. I wouldn't allow that. I would have them picked up in the Channel and taken to a detention centre, probably in a Scottish uninhabited island where it's not horrible but it's not nice. Trained, crack border force team make a decision within 24 hours, and if not, they're sent back. Have you seen that footage that we did with Isabel Oakeshott and Christian Drogan, the undercover migrant invading Britain? Have a look, because that tells you everything about how much of the mickey the French are taking out of us.
They absolutely are. But I think as soon as you scrap all of the incentives, such as the benefits that the EHCR wants to make even more attractive, as soon as you get rid of the reason to be here, if it is going to be detain and deport, people will stop coming.
I completely agree. Likewise, if you build a detention centre that isn't a bloody holiday camp and is hard, the message will get back to all the people. Actually, do you know what? It isn't actually all, you know, milk and honey at the end of the British rainbow. It's actually hard to get. I mean, that has to be... I don't get, Annunciata, how people haven't sussed that out.
Oh, and Jeremy, you make the point repeatedly, but I think it is very, very valid, that if it were you, if it were my husband or my brother, you wouldn't leave without any of your children or your wife or your sisters, your mother, if you were in that dire straits. These are economic migrants. They want to come here for the good life, and that's the attraction we've got to stop.
Answer me something very quickly. I don't know if have you seen the Angela Rayner clip today? I mean, this is beyond ridiculous. This is the newly ennobled housing secretary who's got a job back, having lost it through stamp duty. Edinburgh Council today have been found out. They're a Labour-run council, and it is proven that they are bumping asylum seekers straight to the top of social housing lists and benefiting them over other people. This week, Reform talked about favouring British-born people, married couples, veterans. We heard from a veteran. I'll give you this, Annunciata. We haven't got long, but this is what Angela Rayner said about social housing yesterday.
But the idea that there's a lot of foreign people coming in and taking council housing or social housing is false. There isn't enough social and affordable homes in this country, and that's why we've been focusing on increasing the amount of homes that we've got here so that people can have their own home.
I mean, I've been saying it all day, Annunciata. That's a lie. That's a bare-faced lie, isn't it?
Oh, your caller earlier, Steve, I think he was called from Bournemouth, whose friend who served in our armed forces has complicated PTSD and is sofa surfing and living in his car. We are not looking after our own. We can't afford to look after the world's population that happens to want to be in our country. Charity does start at home, and we need to look after the people that belong to our country before we are even thinking of looking after anyone else.
It's interesting, isn't it, that as a view, probably you and I would both know, 5 years ago we'd been labelled everything. I keep talking, Annunciata, about how actually an increasing number, in fact, let's be honest, millions of people who have never really been invested in politics or had an opinion have suddenly worked out that this system is unfair. That if you constantly expect people to be taxed more and more, to be given even worse involvement with public services and to be able to look and see people who shouldn't be here being treated better, that causes genuinely widespread frustration and anger.
It absolutely does, and rightly so, that those of us who do the right thing, who pay into the system, who abide by the rules, don't get benefits that people who break every single rule, starting with getting here illegally, get. They get free dentistry, they get mobile phones, they get housing, they get what looks like a holiday camp to live in. And, you know, our own people are not treated in the same way. This cannot be right. You have to. The number one priority of any government is to ensure the security and safety and prosperity of its own people. We can't be the charity to the world.
Lovely to have you. The best is always last. Annunciata Rees-Mogg, the head of comms at Popular Conservatism. Thank you so much indeed. Have a fantastic bank holiday weekend. So Alex Phillips is... Oh, hello. Steve, good morning.
I'm 63 now, so I was brought up back in the days when you were taught how to do that. It was civil, it was courteous and it was civil. And the junior school that I went to had an headmistress called Mrs. Grimshaw. And when I went to, that was primary school. When I went to secondary school, one of the teachers said to me, which school did you go to? And in primary school, I went, such and such a school. And he went, Mrs. Grimshaw, he says, no wonder you're very good at saying please and thank you. So there you go, we've just lost that ability to teach the kids correct manners and discipline.